Chapter 14:18. The grudge between the two sides could even be traced back to when Yi Shiwen won the championship of the family competition. At that time, Yi Shiwen, who had obtained the 9 revolutions Taishian golden pill, became the target of both Prince Jin and Prince Yu. Not only Prince Jin and Prince Yu, but many people in the human number 1 secret realm were also coveting the 9 revolutions Taishian golden pill. However, what everyone did not expect was that Yi Shiwen's growth speed was too amazing. In just a few years, not even 10 years, Yi Shiwen had already grown to the extent of dominating the human number 1 secret realm. This also made many people give up on the idea. After all, although the 9 revolutions Taishian golden pill was good, it could only be enjoyed if one was alive. Wouldn't it be suicide to provoke this little overlord? Later on the Wind King Star, there was news of Yi Shiwen killing the Wang family's celestial being realm master. It made him famous almost instantly, and he was pushed to the teeth of the storm. After that, whether it was the universe life and death diagram fragment, or the fact that he was ranked 20th on the Hidden Dragons list, it made him a well-deserved king in the human number 1 secret realm. Although Yi Qianqian and Yi Shukong had also entered the celestial being realm, they did not challenge Yi Shiwen's status as the king of the human number 1 secret realm. Yi Qianqian did not need to be mentioned. In many people's eyes, she and Yi Shiwen had a good relationship. Many people even maliciously speculated that the two of them had an ambiguous relationship. Otherwise, why would Yi Qianqian defend Yi Shiwen so many times? When this speculation first came out, it also made many of Yi Qianqian's pursuers wail. For them, it was like a bolt from the blue. They had not even made a move, and Yi Shiwen had already taken her away. Even the celestial being realm masters in the human number 1 secret realm were dissatisfied with Yi Shiwen. But now, as Yi Shiwen's strength became more and more tyrannical, and after shocking the Yi family many times, everyone seemed to gradually accept this fact. Yi Su-kong, who was originally thought to be Yi Shiwen's strongest opponent, and many people thought that he could easily crush Yi Shiwen, had no intention of challenging Yi Shiwen's position as the king of the secret realm. He was practicing all day long, just like an ascetic. And it was precisely because of this that in everyone's opinion, the two people who had the qualifications to challenge Yi Shiwen were indifferent. Everyone also gave up on this idea and gradually accepted the fact that Yi Shiwen was the master of the human secret realm number 1. Unexpectedly, Prince Jin and Prince Yu had come out of closed-door training one after another and entered the celestial realm. This was a very big thing for the entire Yi clan. Before Yi Shiwen, Yi Qianqian, and Yi Shukong appeared, Prince Jin and Prince Yu were in the limelight. Although they might not be the strongest in the human secret realm at that time, they were the top experts among the younger generation. Coupled with the conflict with Yi Shiwen, they almost became the target of everyone's attention. Many people also knew that the Luoyes City branch family was suddenly transferred to the Demon Realm channel. With such a fuse between the two sides, how could they coexist peacefully? And when Yi Shiwen's figure appeared in the human secret realm, the entire secret realm was in an uproar. Countless tyrannical divine senses swept over. Everyone was looking at Yi Shiwen, waiting to see what he would do. Yi Shiwen, are you okay? After Yi Shiwen appeared in the human secret realm, Yi Qianqian's figure also appeared in front of him. Yi Shiwen looked at Yi Qianqian's jade-like pretty face and said with a smile, "I'm fine. It's just that some people are tired of living. Let me help you," Yi Qianqian said. With just this sentence, she expressed her intention. No matter what kind of enemies, she was willing to face them together with him. "No need. It's just a few rotten fish and shrimps. They don't need your help. There's no need to use a butcher's knife to kill a chicken," Yi Shiwen said with a cold smile. How could he not know Yi Qianqian's good intentions? Yi Qianqian was able to cultivate all the way to where she was now. Naturally, there was a huge force behind her. She was afraid that Yi Shiwen would suffer losses. If she also intervened in this matter, Yi Zhenmo would have to be cautious no matter what. However, he did not want Yi Qianqian to be involved in this matter. 10,000 people came, and I went alone. Yi Qianqian was silent for a moment, then nodded. "It seems that Yi Shiwen is really angry." Yeah, being dealt with in such a way, if it were me, I would also be burning with anger. Unfortunately, because Yishuan's strength is improving too fast, plus he is a genius that the higher-ups of the family pay attention to, it is too difficult to deal with him. In this case, it is better to deal with the people around him. Countless divine senses in the surroundings began to converge. At this time, a few figures leaped over. It was none other than Huiyi, Wu Pingjiu, and Yi Xiukong. After knowing the news of Yishuan's return, they immediately left the secret territory and rushed over. Yishuan, do you need our help? Just say it. As long as you ask, we will definitely help you. Huiyi was the first to step forward and said, Although I have not entered the celestial realm, I can still help you take care of some small fries. At this time, although Huiyi and the others had not entered the celestial realm, after the experience on the Wind King planet, their aura had changed dramatically from before. It could be said that entering the celestial realm was only a matter of time. At most, it would happen in the next 1 or 2 years. This speed was not considered slow. It could only be said that Yishuan, Yi Qianqian, and Yi Xiukong were too abnormal. That's right, I also look down on Prince Jin and Prince Yu's methods. Their originally overbearing style is already annoying, and now they are even using such despicable methods. As long as you say the word, we will charge forward without hesitation. Yilan Shan was still as forthright as ever. She was also very disdainful of this kind of thing. Wu Pingjiu on the side did not speak, but he also had the same intention. Otherwise, he would not have stepped forward. Now that they stepped forward, they had already drawn a clear line between themselves and Prince Jin and Prince Yu. I can help you, they are just chickens and dogs, Yi Xiukong said, his eyes shining. The last time Yishuan personally covered his retreat, it was also a great shock to him. Ever since he was young, no one had ever done so much for him. He had been constantly cultivating since he was young, just like an ascetic. He was extremely proud in his heart because he was the son of God, and those of the same generation were not worthy of associating with him. Yishuan was the first person to defeat him, but he was also the first person who was willing to risk his life to cover his retreat. At this time, he directly stood up and expressed his support for Yishuan. Seeing everyone's support, Yishuan suddenly felt a warm feeling in his heart. However, he had already decided not to involve them in this matter. So, he immediately said, No need. Just leave this matter to me. As you said, it's just a chicken and a stray dog. There's no need for you, the Son of God, to take action. Yi Xiukong grinned. If these words were said by others, Yi Xiukong would not care at all. However, these words were said by Yishuan, so the weight in his heart was naturally different. These are all the top powerhouses in our human secret realm. Now they have actually stood up to support Yishuan. I didn't expect that he has already expanded such a network in just a short time since he came to our human secret realm, making these arrogant geniuses say that they are willing to fight for him. Yeah, I'm afraid this Yishuan is not that simple. Now he has gathered the support of so many people. These people are all God's favored ones. Which one of them does not have the support of a colossus behind them? Even Yizhen would have to consider the attitude of these people. Yeah, this matter itself is problematic. I also feel that it is not appropriate to do this. Even if you have any conflicts with Yishuan, just go for him. Why do you have to use such a despicable method? It will only lower your status. Everyone in the human secret realm was secretly speechless. Yishuan's network had expanded to such an extent. They still vaguely remembered the situation a few years ago when Yishuan had just come to fight in all directions. At that time, he almost had no friends, and many people were very dissatisfied with him entering the heaven's #1 secret realm. Yishuan walked out of the crowd and flew directly to the human secret realm #3 and #4. Fortunately, the first 10 human secret realms were gathered in one area, so there was no need to worry about not being able to find them. Yishuan flew above the human secret realm #3 and released his tyrannical aura without reservation, instantly shrouding the human secret realm #3. Prince Jin, get out here! Yishuan's roar directly shook the entire human secret realm #3. Even with the protection of the formation was still shaking violently. "If you don't get out, then don't blame me for smashing this place to pieces." Although the formation of the secret realm and the human secret realm was said to be able to block the attacks of celestial realm masters, no matter what kind of formation it was, it could not really block the indiscriminate attacks of celestial realm masters. Did he think he would be fine just by hiding in the formation? He was too naive. Of course, attacking the formation would definitely be punished by the family, but Yishiwen, who was already furious to the extreme, could not care about this. "You are Yishiwen?" At this time, a slightly doubtful but somewhat cold voice came from behind Yishiwen. Yishiwen turned around and saw a man in his 20s, dressed in a luxurious robe, with a jade-like face. At this time, he was staring at Yishiwen. "Yes, I am. Are you Prince Jean or Prince Yu?" Chapter 14:19. "That's right, I am. Are you Prince Jean or Prince Yu?" Yishiwen glanced at the person and asked. "I am Prince Yu." The young man sneered and said, "He has already gone to the Demon Realm channel, so you don't have to think about calling him out. There are only some small fries left inside." "Why? Are you interested in small fries?" Yishiwen laughed and asked. "Was it your idea to transfer my uncle and third uncle to the Demon Realm channel?" "It was my idea. Prince Yuan Jin wanted to kill them directly, but I think it's meaningless to kill them directly. Ha ha ha, just like how a cat has to play with a mouse before eating it." Prince Yu had a cold smile on his face. "I have heard a lot about you during this period. How is it? Do you feel powerless?" "This is the power of the collective, the power of the system." Their words reflected the completely different personalities of the two. Prince Jean was obviously more irritable, while Prince Yu was more cold. "Then let me tell you. Not all the time, the power of the system is useful. For example, now," Yishiwen said with a cold smile. I am a celestial realm expert. Who do you think you are to be so presumptuous in front of me?" Prince Yu shouted and waved his hands. Suddenly, thousands of flying swords flew out. Each of the flying swords bloomed with brilliant light, forming a long sword river that instantly blasted towards Yishiwen. "Let me show you the means of the celestial realm." "Celestial realm? What's the big deal? I don't even like killing anymore," Yishiwen shouted. "Today, I will break your Taoist heart and let you see the gap between us. The system is nothing. I want you to never dare to go against me." A long sword condensed from sword intent appeared in Yishiwen's hand. The sword light shot out for hundreds of feet and directly slashed towards the long sword river. Boom! With a loud roar, the entire long river was blasted into a huge gap on the spot. Then, the sword light in his hand broke through like a hot knife through butter. Everywhere Yishiwen passed, Prince Yu's flying swords were all shattered on the spot. The sword light expanded with the wind and instantly grew to hundreds of feet long, heading straight for Prince Yu's face. "How can he be so powerful?" Prince Yu was extremely shocked and retreated again and again. However, Yishiwen's sword light grew faster than he had imagined. Whoosh! The sword light directly penetrated his body. Prince Yu managed to avoid the sword light in time, but Yishiwen's sword light still slashed out some blood mist. The next moment, Prince Jade appeared more than 10 miles away. He looked at Yishiwen coldly. There was a bloodstain on his shoulder that was unusually conspicuous. No matter how fast he escaped, he was still cut by Yishiwen's sword light when he was caught off guard. If he was slightly slower, even his arm would have been chopped off. His eyes flickered. He had heard some rumors about Yishiwen before, but he didn't believe them at all. Who knew that he would get such a huge surprise because of his previous negligence? "Today, I will make you pay for what you have done!" Yishiwen shouted loudly. Then, the sword light rose against the wind, and soared up to several thousand feet into the sky. Then, it fell down with a loud rumble. "Courting death!" Prince Jade roared angrily and attacked directly. He reached out with both hands, and suddenly, a huge jade-like mountain range came crashing down, crushing down directly. Without any warning, this jade mountain exuded a terrifying danger that made people's hearts palpitate. Boom! The sword light and the jade mountain collided fiercely. It was like two divine objects were locked in a stalemate in the sky. For a moment, no one gave way to the other. So powerful! This Yishuan has such powerful means. They all said that he killed the Wang clan's celestial realm expert on the Wind King planet. Now, it seems that it's almost true. He is already so terrifying when he is only a half step into the celestial realm. If he steps into the celestial realm, how powerful will he be? Won't he be able to compete with the 5 hegemons immediately? The confrontation between the two directly attracted countless people's discussions, especially since it was the first time Yishuan displayed the combat power of the celestial realm and the human secret realm. Such a confrontation of the celestial realm might not be considered much in the Earth's secret realm, but just in the human secret realm, it was already a scene that was rarely seen in 100 years. Because generally speaking, after stepping into the celestial realm, they would enter the Earth's secret realm, and rarely would they stay in the human secret realm. Moreover, generally speaking, it was very normal for only one person to step into the celestial realm in a dozen years, or even a few decades. It was very difficult to gather more than 2 celestial realm experts. It was even rarer to see 5 celestial realm experts gathered in the human secret realm at once. Moreover, the confrontation between the two even attracted the attention of the experts in the Earth's secret realm. More than a dozen extremely tyrannical divine senses swept over, seeming to be investigating the battle within. For them, a normal battle of a half step into the celestial realm might not be worth their attention at all, but a battle involving the celestial realm was enough to attract their attention. "I'll let you know why I'm called Crown Prince Jade." Crown Prince Jade sneered, opened his mouth, and a green sword light directly shot out. This was a shocking sword aura that he refined after collecting the jade essence in the world. Under this attack, even a celestial realm expert would still be killed on the spot. He was already an expert of the heaven tier. Martial artists who had reached this level could already be said to have become one with heaven and earth. It was precisely because of this that all martial arts, in their hands, would be able to display great might, even far surpassing the terrifying might of their original moves. Originally, this wasn't a sword technique used for a surprise attack. What kind of status and strength did he have? Why would he need to launch a surprise attack? However, he chose to launch a surprise attack in the battle with Yishuan. The reason was none other than because he truly felt the threat that Yishuan posed to him. He knew that even if he could defeat Yishuan using normal methods, he might not be able to kill Yishuan in a short time. In that case, even if he won, he would lose face. As for whether his reputation was good or not, he did not care at all. The winner would not be blamed. Dang! With a loud roar, his jade sword stood on a huge cauldron. It was the 8 treasure heaven and earth cauldron's automatic protection. "You have indeed practiced the natural scripture, and even an ordinary first sky of heaven realm expert can be easily beheaded by you, but this is not the basis of your conspiracy against me. If you only have this level of strength, then you will not be able to escape today." Yishuan sneered and shouted. Crown Prince Jade lived up to his reputation. Even though he had just broken into the celestial realm, he was already above most experts in the same realm. Killing an expert at the first level of the celestial realm with ease was definitely not a joke. It was even comparable to when Yishuan had just stepped into the early stage of the half-step celestial realm. Amazing, these two are so amazing. They are both the best among the younger generation of our Yi clan. Their cultivation is so terrifying. Although this Crown Prince Jade is arrogant, he does have the strength to be arrogant. When we just stepped into the celestial realm, we definitely did not have this kind of strength. But that half-step celestial realm brat is even more amazing. Even such a surprise attack could not kill him. It is so scary. This kind of strength is simply shocking. If he stepped into the celestial realm, wouldn't he immediately reach the standard and strength of the heaven secret realm? Is this still the combat strength of a half-step celestial realm person? But it can't be wrong. I did not see it wrong. He has not stepped into the celestial realm and cannot merge with heaven and earth at all. Otherwise, this Crown Prince Jade would probably be defeated in one move. But there is not much difference now. It is a pity that such a proud person like Crown Prince Jade is going to fall in Yishuan's hands. That exchange of blows not only shocked the experts in the human secret realm, but also some of the celestial realm experts in the Earth's secret realm who were alarmed. Some of them were even extremely powerful experts in the celestial realm. But according to the rules, as members of the Earth's secret realm, they could not go back. Using their primordial spirit to observe like this was already the limit. They could not go back and check with their own eyes. Of course, the most shocked was not the others, but Crown Prince Jade. His heart was like a tsunami. In his heart, he actually had a trace of fear towards Yishuan's strength. Initially, he didn't care about Yishuan's achievements. He never believed in rumors. However, he didn't expect that Yishuan would be so terrifying after a real fight. His surprise attack couldn't hurt Yishuan at all. How terrifying was his true strength! Fortunately, he had not stepped into the celestial realm. Otherwise, would he still have a way out? Fortunately, he hasn't entered the celestial being realm and can't use the one with the world. If such a person grows up, he will be a disaster. We must kill him as soon as possible. Prince Jade's eyes flickered with ferocity, and he looked eager to try. He had already lost all hope of being able to kill Yishuan in the future. He already knew very well how terrifying Yishuan was. When he stepped into the celestial realm in the future, there would be no place for him to stand. Although he was also making progress, how could he not distinguish whether the half-step celestial realm or the celestial realm was progressing faster? The stalemate in the sky continued. Prince Yu's Jade Mountain was also a precious treasure, heavier than Mount Tai. At this time, it was as if the entire mountain range had completely crashed down. Yishuan's divine power was even more amazing. With the great accomplishment of Tyrant Body, he could immediately pull up the mountains and rivers. Ha! Prince Yu let out a long roar, and his body faintly merged with the entire heaven and earth. Unity of man and nature. Chapter 1420. He actually blended into the sky. This was something that only those who had reached the heaven realm could truly do. Even those who were half a step into the heaven realm couldn't do it. Moreover, attaining the oneness of heaven and man wasn't something that could be entered at any time. For warriors who had just entered the heaven realm, even entering the state of oneness of heaven and man required a very long time, not to mention entering the state of oneness of heaven and man freely in battle. Prince Jade definitely lived up to his name. However, there was no doubt that entering the state of oneness of heaven and man would naturally greatly increase his combat strength. Yishuan could feel that when he entered the state of oneness of heaven and man, his aura rose by a notch. The entire domain dispersed, and completely enveloped Yishuan. Now I'll let you know that the true means of the heaven realm are nothing in front of the entire world. Prince Jade laughed sinisterly. He was completely infuriated by Yishuan's words. The huge jade mountain above Yishuan's head began to grow bigger and bigger. It swelled up against the wind and smashed down. Humph! Yishuan snorted coldly. His body flew forward and directly slashed out with a fiery saber aura. Boom! The entire sky was plunged into a sea of fire. The jade mountain was directly set ablaze. Whoosh! Prince Jade immediately spat out a flying sword which fell into his hand. He immediately slashed out a sky full of sword light. In an instant, the pressure was like a mountain. It was many times more tyrannical than before. Many laws of the heavenly Tao appeared around him. In front of a true expert of the heaven tier, nothing was a secret. A scimitar appeared in Yishuan's hand. He said coldly, "So what if you're in the heaven realm? Today I'll tell you that the gap between you and me is already so big that you can't imagine it. Even if you enter the state of oneness of heaven and man, it's useless." Indeed, when he entered the state of oneness of heaven and man, his strength increased a lot. However, no matter how much he improved, he was still in the first level of the heaven realm. As long as he was still in this realm, he could not possibly be Yishuan's opponent. In this realm, he was already invincible. Whoosh! A shocking saber light flashed across the sky, creating a saber shadow that was hundreds of feet long. It crossed the sky and directly collided with the sword light. Prince Jade's expression changed when he saw this shocking saber light. How could he not be shocked in the face of such pressure? Compared to before, Yishuan's strength was a notch higher. In other words, Yishuan did not use his full strength just now. He was shocked and angry. Sure enough, just as he expected, Yishuan's blade light swept across the vast sky, and instantly fell down, crushing all his sword lights, and then fiercely chopped towards him. Kara! Almost in an instant, he felt as if heaven and earth were collapsing. A violent power pressed down on him, causing his entire body to flutter and his bones to creak. Even if he was also an expert in the first heaven of the heaven realm, it would be impossible for him to be dealt such a huge blow. In the blink of an eye, a jade giant rose from his body, spread its arms, and protected him within. Boom! The terrifying saber light slammed into the jade giant's body. The jade giant's spread arms actually began to crack inch by inch. How is this possible? So powerful. Even under the protection of the jade giant, Prince Jade could still feel the violent saber light wreaking havoc on his body. Even if it was just the aftermath, it could still kill a half-step heaven realm expert. His eyes were wide open, and he could not believe that there was actually such a terrifying half-step heaven realm expert. At this time, he finally knew what Yishuan was relying on. At the same time, he finally knew that Yishuan's ranking on the Hidden Dragons list was not an undeserved reputation. Is this all you can do, Prince Jade? You disappoint me too much. Is the previous top expert of the Yi clan's younger generation only at this level? Yishuan's cold voice crashed into his mind like thunder. Today, I will let you know the consequences of provoking me. Strong, too strong. A warrior half a step in the celestial realm is actually strong to such an extent. It's hard to imagine that even with Prince Jade's strength, he is completely at a disadvantage. This is simply shocking. I don't believe it. I must be dreaming. How can Yishuan be so powerful? Especially some newcomers who had just joined the human secret realm, they did not know Yishuan's power at all. At this time, when they saw Yishuan, a half-step heaven realm expert, killing Prince Jade, a heaven realm expert, and forcing him to retreat, their eyes were wide open. The ones who were even more frightened were the old people, because they found that compared to a few years ago, Yishuan's strength did not just increase by a little bit. It was simply an increase of several times. Everyone was boiling, even the experts of the Earth's secret realm were no exception. However, the murderous intent in Prince Jade's eyes became even colder. The murderous intent was awe-inspiring, and his determination to kill Yishuan became even firmer. Yishuan was so dangerous. Such a person could not be left alive. Otherwise, their golden jade pavilion might be completely buried in Yishuan's hands. Yishuan, do you really think I'm at my wit's end? I'll let you see what the divine jade real body is. Prince Jade, who was unable to breathe under the pressure of Yishuan's saber aura, seemed to have activated some secret technique. His whole body began to be covered with a layer of jade-like color. His whole person looked like a jade statue. The terrifying jade-colored tide swept in all directions, shocking the surroundings. In an instant, a big hand reached out on the spot and grabbed Yishuan's saber aura. "Break for me!" Prince Jade let out a loud roar. He actually grabbed Yishuan's saber aura and destroyed it with his bare hands. Yishuan was taken aback. This Prince Jade was more tyrannical and difficult to deal with than he had imagined. What divine jade true body? It's all useless. In front of me, it's not even worth a fart. A bronze color emerged on Yishuan's body. It was the tyrant body that had automatically appeared. The bronze color made Yishuan look like a Buddha. Rays of light radiated from the sky, and it shone brilliantly. The whole world was about to collapse from this aura. Break for me directly. Yishuan roared and pointed his finger directly. Sky-shaking technique. The entire void shook crazily and collapsed piece by piece. It was as if there was a great change that shocked the heavens. Hiss, what is this move? Why is it so terrifying? Someone was extremely shocked. Yi Shiwen pointed his finger directly at Prince Jade's body. Boom! With a deafening explosion, an incomparably terrifying frenzy swept out in all directions. Prince Jade's divine jade real body had not begun to show its power, and cracks began to appear. Boom! 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 Prince Jade's jade-like body began to crack piece by piece. Impossible! Prince Jade shouted in disbelief. He was in despair. No matter what kind of strength he showed, it seemed that he could not really understand Yi Shiwen's bottom line. Yi Shiwen's strength was always 1,000 times, 10,000 times more terrifying than he imagined. Nothing is impossible. Yi Shiwen sneered as he took a step forward. Then, he swung his big hand and slapped his big mouth. Slap! There was an extremely loud slap, and Prince Jade was directly blasted out. His entire head actually had traces of cracks, as if there were actually cracks on a jade product. It was frightening to see. However, Yi Shiwen was not done yet. He chased after Prince Jade again, grabbed him directly on the spot, and gave him another big slap. Boom! 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 Yi Shiwen's big hand was like gold and stone, and Prince Jade's body was even more like jade. At this time, when Yi Shiwen grabbed him, there was a sound of gold and iron colliding on the spot. Who do you think you are? How dare you touch my family? You pig and dog! This slap is revenge for letting the golden jade pavilion chase me previously. Every time Yi Shiwen roared, he gave him a big slap. Cracks began to appear on Prince Jade's head, and it was getting bigger and bigger. He was almost dumbfounded by Yi Shiwen's slaps. No one had ever dared to treat him like this, and it almost made him go crazy. Yi Shiwen, why don't you kill me? Otherwise, I will make you regret it for the rest of your life. Prince Jade's eyes were full of hatred. I won't give you this chance. Yi Shiwen sneered and immediately threw him high up in the air. Then, he kicked Prince Jade directly. Swoosh! Prince Jade was directly blasted out on the spot like a cannonball, and then he hit hard. In the fourth secret realm, there was a terrifying collision sound. A small mushroom cloud rose up, and countless courtyards were annihilated at once. Yi Shiwen, how dare you cripple my martial arts! Prince Jade's shocking shout came from the fourth secret realm. It was really heartbreaking for those who heard it to shed tears. What's the big deal about your martial arts? Why can't I cripple it? Yi Shiwen said coldly. There was a sound of inhaling cold air around. He actually dared to do it. He actually dared to do it. Everyone was a little dumbfounded. They didn't expect this matter to escalate to this point in the end, especially in front of everyone. He actually crippled Prince Jade's martial arts. This was simply audacious. In fact, what was Prince Jade's identity? He was Yi Zhenmo's proud disciple. Ordinary people didn't even have the qualifications to look up to him, but he was actually crippled of his martial arts. For them, this Yi Shiwen undoubtedly pierced through the sky in their hearts. Such a vicious heart. At such a young age, you are actually so ruthless. I don't think you can be left alive. Otherwise, you will be a scourge in the future. Chapter 14:21. What a vicious heart. You're actually so ruthless at such a young age. I don't think you should be allowed to live. Otherwise, you will become a scourge in the future. An extremely cold and terrifying voice came from the sky. Then, a big hand directly slammed down, penetrating the void on the spot. It wanted to grab Yi Shiwen to death, otherwise it would not stop. Yi Shiwen almost instantly felt the approaching danger. In an instant, his figure burst back and avoided the big hand. Boom! This huge hand directly grabbed and destroyed a part of the void. However, this big hand did not stop at all. It grabbed towards Yi Shiwen's direction again. Almost at the same time, another big hand grabbed from the number 1 secret territory. Yi Zhenmo, you've crossed the line! It was old Ye's voice. Two big hands clashed in the void. They directly tore the sky apart and blasted into the endless chaotic void. The whole scene was chaotic. There were terrifying aftershocks everywhere, and a terrifying wind blew. Yi Shiwen heaved a sigh of relief. Fortunately, old Yi had finally intervened. Otherwise, he would have no choice but to flee to the ends of the world. Being targeted by such a terrifying old thing would mean that he would die without a burial place. Yi Jinmo's strength was much more tyrannical than he imagined. Looking at this posture, he might have already entered the 9th level of Sky Realm. He was not much weaker than the Yi clan's clan master. However, he did not expect that after he crippled Prince Yu, Yi Jinmo would actually make a move. In other words, he did not expect Yi Jinmo to make a move so early. Didn't they say that he was guarding the Demon Domain's channel? Why did he appear here now? At this time, there was a fluctuation in the void. A middle-aged man strode out of the void with a gloomy face. He stared at Yi Shiwen fiercely as if he wanted to devour Yi Shiwen on the spot. His eyes were gloomy like a ghost. "You're Yi Jinmo?" Yi Shiwen asked. "Yes, it's me." The middle-aged man looked at Yi Shiwen coldly and said, "I've heard of you. Although you came back from the outside, it's hard to say whether you're a member of the Yi clan. Moreover, you're simply a troublemaker. You keep stirring up trouble. I don't know whether it's a blessing or a curse to keep such a person in our Yi clan. I cause trouble? If it weren't for your 2 good disciples who wanted to snatch my 9 revolutions Taishian golden pill first, things wouldn't have become like this," Yi Shiwen said with a sneer. "If they want it, then give it to them. You don't even understand this logic," Yi Jinmo coldly said. "This kind of divine-grade medicinal pill is not something that a person like you deserves." "I don't deserve it, but does that waste lying on the ground have the qualifications to own it?" Yi Shiwen sneered, seemingly ridiculing Yi Jinmo's statement. "Master, kill him, you must kill him. He actually dared to cripple my martial arts." "Bastard, I must make him die without a burial place." Prince Yu's angry roar came from the 4th secret realm. As one of the 2 leaders of the Golden Jade Pavilion, he did not expect to be forced to this extent by Yi Shiwen. Most importantly, his martial arts was crippled by Yi Shiwen. This was simply ruining his life. How could he not hate Yi Shiwen? He had completely forgotten that if it weren't for him and Prince Jean coveting the 9 revolutions Taishian golden pill in Yi Shiwen's hands, things wouldn't have developed to this point. As the saying goes, those who do too much evil will bring about their own destruction. He did not think about this at all. In his opinion, all of this was caused by Yi Shiwen. If it weren't for Yi Shiwen, how could he be so miserable? Humph, less flowery words. Killing your fellow disciples in broad daylight and under the watchful eyes of so many people, you simply don't deserve to be a disciple of my Yi clan. You are simply a beast. I will kill you for the sake of the Yi clan," Yi Jinmo coldly said. "If I am a beast like this, then aren't you an old beast? Because the 2 little beasts you raised have done many such things. You are also a master of your generation. Now you actually use such a despicable method to deal with a junior like me. Don't you feel the slightest bit guilty?" Yi Shiwen retorted. "Guilt? This word doesn't even exist in my dictionary," Yi Jinmo said disdainfully. "If they die, it won't be because of me, but because of you. Buying a puppet is not something that you provoked, so how could they suffer together with you? This is clearly your fault." Yi Shiwen gnashed his teeth and said, "What a sharp-tongued person. You are distorting the truth. Obviously, you are the one who wanted them to enter the Devil World channel, but now it is my fault. I am like this, what can you do to me? You dare to hurt my closest relatives, I will make you, old bastard, a lonely old man." When the surrounding people heard this, they could not help but be shocked. Yi Shiwen's words simply meant that he wanted to kill all the disciples and relatives of Yi Jinmo, otherwise, how could he be a lonely old man? However, it was fine if it was just Prince Yu. After all, it was not a big deal. However, this also involved the terrifying existence of Zhong Batian, the leader of the 5 hegemons. Even Zhong Batian was not afraid. The shock that Yi Shiwen gave them was far from this. What a malicious little bastard. Yi Zhenmo gritted his teeth and roared. Today, I will peel your skin and pull out your tendons. You will never be able to reincarnate. Yi Zhenmo, you have gone too far. At this time, in the number 1 secret territory, old Ye's long sigh came. For an old man like him, even at the last moment of his life, he still wanted to leave something for the Yi family. For him, there was nothing more important than the development of the Yi family. However, when he saw Yi Shiwen and Yi Zhenmo confronting each other, he was extremely helpless. Yi Zhenmo had guarded the demon domain channel for thousands of years for the Yi family. It could be said that he had worked hard and made great contributions. Behind him stood Prince Jin, Prince Yu, and one of the 5 hegemons, Zhong Badian. In addition, his own forces in the demon domain channel were intertwined. Such a character was in existence that even the Yi family's master had to be wary of. Yi Shiwen was the top master of the younger generation. He had a promising future, and no one knew how far he could go. Old Yi absolutely did not want to see the two of them confronting each other like this. Because there was no other result other than making one of them suffer, and the enemy happy. However, he had no way to control this matter. As Yi Zhenmo clearly sent Yi Shiwen's family to die, and Yi Shiwen crippled Prince Yu, there was no way to reconcile the grievances between the two sides. But at this time, he absolutely could not let Yi Zhenmo kill Yi Shiwen. He must stand on Yi Shiwen's side. What did I do wrong? He crippled my apprentice's martial arts. Can I even get justice for him? Yi Zhentian shouted at the human character number 1 pocket dimension. Clearly, he was extremely furious. That's right. You and I know the whole story. You use such means to deal with the Yi family's disciples. Aren't you afraid of others' criticism? Old Yi sighed and said. Get lost. I'm not afraid of criticism. Over the years, haven't they criticized me enough? Yi Zhenmo didn't care at all. I want him dead. Even if he has to pay the price, it's the same. As the saying goes, a life for a life. I don't want much from him. As long as he cripples his own martial arts, I won't pursue this matter. Haha, you're really arrogant. You're talking big. You're talking about your disciples' good deeds in one breath. Yi Shiwen was so angry that he laughed and said, I haven't held you responsible for this yet. I advise you to return my relatives. If you have any problems, just come at me. Don't play any tricks behind my back. I hate this kind of people the most. If any mishap happens to them, I will turn you into an old bastard. Bastard! Yi Zhenmo was furious. He pointed at Yi Shiwen and said, Are you still going to protect him? I must kill him today. Everyone knew that the Yi Zhenmo was talking about was Old Yi, who was in the number 1 secret territory. Not everyone knew the existence of Old Yi. It should be said that the vast majority of people didn't know the existence of Old Yi. That was because Old Yi didn't go out after entering the number 1 secret territory. Many people's impression of him was still the same as when he had first arrived. However, no one had expected that there would be such an existence in Yi Shiwen's number 1 secret territory. Such a terrifying existence could block Yi Zhenmo's terrifying sneak attack. He is the elite and the future of my law enforcement hall. I won't allow you to act recklessly. Yi Zhenmo, over the years your body has been invaded by the devil energy. Your temperament has become more and more perverse and eccentric. Originally, these things didn't matter. I won't haggle with you for the sake of your hard work for the Yi family. However, I won't watch you attack him without doing anything. Old Ye's voice came out. Old bastard, don't be too proud. Don't forget that although our realms are almost the same, you're just in the ordinary realm. On the other hand, I'm an invincible existence. You won't be my opponent even if we fight. Yi Zhenmo sneered and said. Indeed, with your peerless talent, it's sufficient for you to look down upon all the experts of the same generation. However, your original body is still in the passageway to the devil realm. You're looking down on me too much if you think you can kill someone right under my nose with just a nascent soul clone. Old Ye's voice was faint. However, it was somewhat cold and firm. He had made up his mind to protect Yi Shiwen in the enemy camp. Do you think that this matter will be resolved just by protecting him? He has crippled my beloved disciple. I will cripple his martial arts even if I don't kill him. I will let him have a good taste of this. Chapter 14:22. Do you think that this matter will be resolved just by protecting him? He has crippled my beloved disciple. Even if I don't kill him, I will cripple his martial arts and let him have a good taste of this. Yi Jinmo's expression became increasingly ice-cold. His divine sense was firmly locked on Yishuwen. He didn't give him any opportunity to escape. He just stared at Yishuwen. Even when he was talking with old Yi, he didn't relax even the slightest bit. Presumably, he really hated Yishuwen and wanted to kill him to vent his anger. You have already crippled one. Do you also want to cripple the future hope of our Yi clan? Old Yi said in a faint voice. What Yi clan's hope? At such a young age, he is already so vicious. Such a person will certainly become a big scourge for our Yi clan when he grows up. We simply cannot allow him to grow up. Yi Jinmo said with an ice-cold expression. I'm vicious, but no matter how vicious I am, I can't be as vicious and shameless as you and your disciples. You can actually talk about robbery in such an open and above-board manner. I've never seen such a shameless master and disciple. Yishuwen sneered and said. He wanted to kill me, but I just crippled his martial arts. Considering that we are from the same clan, otherwise he would have already been dead for a long time. Do you think it's your turn to complain? Yi Jinmo's complexion immediately became even more unsightly. For him, he had always been aloof and aloof. Who would dare to talk to him like this, especially when it came to the younger generation? Even Zhong Batian was his disciple, so who would dare to yell at him like this? However, what made him extremely depressed was that he found that he had no way to refute Yishuwen's words. Although he was tough and had a perverse and eccentric temperament, eloquence had never been his strong point. He suddenly coldly snorted and said, Don't talk nonsense. Today, I must cripple your martial arts. Yi Jinmo immediately smashed down with his big hand. Boom! This big hand penetrated the void, and was about to slap Yishuwen to death in an instant. Yishuwen retreated again and again. At this time, he found that he simply could not retreat. A powerful force had fixed him in place, making him completely unable to escape. Yi Jinmo's divine sense had almost materialized, and he could catch people in the air, not giving Yishuwen any opportunity to escape. I said you've gone too far. It seems that this old man hasn't been walking around in the Yi family for a while. You've all forgotten my dignity. At this time, Old Man Ye's voice came from Secret Realm No. 1. There was a hint of anger and fury in his voice. Clearly, he was enraged by Yi Jinmo's repeated unreasonable actions. Whoosh! A startling waterfall flashed across the sky and blasted towards Yi Jinmo's chi-condensed hand, instantly blowing it up. The terrifying explosion shook the entire human No. 1 secret realm. If the battle between Prince Jade and Yishuwen just now had only alarmed some experts at the back of the Earth's secret realm, then the battle between Old Yi and Yi Jinmo had awakened almost all the experts in the Earth's secret realm. Even many old antiques in the Heaven's secret realm had been awakened. They were all comprehending the Tao of immortality. Under normal circumstances, it was impossible to alarm them. But now, not only had they been alarmed, but they had also been awakened all of a sudden. Isn't that Yi Jinmo? Why is he so flustered and exasperated? No, that's not Yi Jinmo. That's just the spirit of Yi Jinmo. What happened that actually made his spirit descend into the secret realm personally? You know, he has a deep hatred for the demon clan. In addition, he has a perverse character, so he is usually stationed in the demon domain's passageway. Under normal circumstances, it's impossible to alarm him. Now that he's alarmed and descended with his spirit incarnation, I'm afraid it's not a trivial matter. I know about this. It seems that a young man destroyed his disciple's martial arts, causing him to be enraged and descend with his spirit incarnation. Who knew that this young man's background is not simple? Now it's almost like a battle between two guardians. These youngsters are getting more and more perverse. They don't even know how to work together for the Yi clan's interests. The first thing these old antiques did after they woke up was to exchange information. Everyone knew about Yijin Mo and Old Yi. Some of them had even lived in the same era as them. However, when they saw the two of them fight because of the matters of the younger generation, they were still incomparably shocked. Then, Old Yi made his move again. He drew a big hand that covered the sky, and directly grabbed Yijin Mo. Humph! Yijin Mo coldly snorted, and roared. Sweep away the demons! He suddenly blasted a fist. Suddenly, an intense light flickered in the world. His entire person seemed like a god in the sky, majestic and bright. Whatever demons or ghosts were in front of such power, they were simply not enough. Bang! The two fists collided, and a terrifying power superimposed on each other. Then, a crazy explosion occurred. However, Yijin Mo's fist strength could only resist a little bit, and was immediately grabbed by Old Yi. Just when Old Yi was about to grab Yijin Mo, a golden light flashed in the sky, and directly turned Old Yi's big hand into nothingness. Then, a figure crossed the sky and arrived. Everyone looked at the figure and found that it was none other than the Yi clan's patriarch, Yi Tianqiong. What are you doing? Is it proper for you to fight among yourselves? Yi Tianqiong angrily shouted as soon as he came out. Patriarch, please calm down! Patriarch, please calm down! At this moment, many voices rang out from the surroundings. Now that even the family head had appeared, how could these powerful beings who had been hiding in the void not appear as well? One by one they appeared. At this moment, the entire sky was filled with people. Even within the earth and heaven's secret realms, there were many powerful beings who stood out as well. Patriarch, you have finally arrived. This little bastard has killed his fellow disciples. He doesn't even have a little bit of respect for his fellow disciples. I think he has been invaded by an evil spirit. He has come to our Yi clan as a spy, and wants to kill our Yi clan's geniuses. Yijin Mo slightly cupped his hands in obeisance. Even if it was just a wisp of his soul, his deity was still Yijin Mo. He held a high position in the Yi clan. He had worked hard and performed many meritorious deeds. Even the Yi clan's patriarch had to give in to him. The surrounding people couldn't help but secretly ridicule him. This Yijin Mo's performance was too impatient. He had directly put a big hat on Yijin Mo. This was the rhythm of wanting to kill Yi Shiwen. Nonsense, you are clearly the old bastard. You have repeatedly schemed against me. You are simply a nest of snakes and rats. A person like you has seized a high position. You are the biggest poisonous insect of my Yi clan, Yi Shiwen said without any trace of politeness. Many people in the surroundings rolled their eyes. Both sides were not easy to deal with. One was better than the other in putting a big hat on him. Yijin Mo's complexion turned slightly ashen. He had already lost enough face when he failed to deal with Yi Shiwen. And now, Yi Shiwen had put a big hat on him. How could he not be angry? However, the clan lord was present at this time. Although he was domineering and arrogant, he still didn't dare to challenge the authority of the clan lord. After all, the clan lord represented the entire Yi clan. Challenging the authority of the clan lord was tantamount to challenging the entire Yi clan. No one could bear such karma. At this time, Old Yi also came out of the number 1 secret territory. He still looked like a candle in the wind. It seemed as if he would pass away with the wind at any time. At this time, Yi Tianqiong stepped forward and said, You have been tired. You have fought for our Yi clan for your entire life. Now you have to be tired. Tianqiong is really ashamed. What are you talking about, Patriarch? I am a member of the Yi clan when I live, and I will be a ghost of the Yi clan when I die. It is my duty to do my best for the Yi clan. This is nothing. Anyway, I don't have many years left to live. So what? Old Yi said lightly. Yi Shiwen was secretly surprised. Originally, Yi Shintian was only respectful to Old Yi. He didn't expect that even the patriarch of the Yi clan, Yi Tianqiong, would also be respectful to Old Yi. For the patriarch of the Yi clan, this was somewhat inconceivable. Presumably, Old Yi must have been an unimaginable person in the past. Otherwise, Yijin Mo wouldn't be so afraid. Saying so much was an expression of fear. Otherwise, Yijin Mo would have killed Yishiwen as soon as he came up. One must know that Yijin Mo was in the prime of his life. He was at the peak of his strength, while old Yi was already in the decay stage. Even so, Yijin Mo didn't dare to say that he would win. Even if it was just a wisp of spirit avatar, it was enough to prove some things. Yi Tianqiong didn't say much. He just looked at both sides and said, I already know about this matter. Yi Shiwen killed his fellow disciples. He will be punished to guard the Devil Domain's channel. Patriarch! Yijin Mo immediately said. Although guarding the Devil Domain's channel for 2 years was undoubtedly a very severe punishment for many people, for Yi Shiwen, it was undoubtedly a light sentence, especially for what he had done. The Yi clan had always been heavily punished for harming a fellow disciple. If it was Yi Xing who died in such a dubious manner, it would be fine. However, once there was concrete evidence, they would not let it go easily. Otherwise, the Yi clan would be in a mess. And he also didn't know why the Patriarch would make such a punishment that was obviously in favor of Yishiwen. Don't worry. In the Devil Domain's channel, Yishiwen, you still have to kill a number of demon masters. You can only leave when you complete the task. Otherwise, you will stay in there for the rest of your life to atone for what you have done, Yi Tianqing said. In addition, Yijin Mo, I also know the whole story. It was all for the 9 revolutions Taishian Golden Pill. This matter ends here. I don't want anyone to continue to target the 9 revolutions Taishian Golden Pill. In addition, Yishuen's relatives should also be transferred out. They are not suitable to continue to stay in this Devil Domain's channel. Chapter 1423. Yi Tianqiong's words made Yijin Mo unwilling. It was not because of Yi Junhai and the others. For him, Yi Shiwen was the one he really wanted to deal with. The others were just ants. If it were not for Yi Shiwen, they would not even be qualified for him to look at them. What he really cared about was Yi Tianqiong's words. Although it was just a 50-50 punishment, in his opinion, Yi Tianqiong was still biased towards Yi Shiwen. Was this the punishment for killing a fellow disciple? However, Yijin Mo didn't argue. He had thought of a better way. Although Yi Shiwen's relatives would be transferred out, he didn't care about these ants in his eyes. He only cared about Yi Shiwen and nothing more. Once he entered the Devil World's channel, wouldn't he die? Yijin Mo had plenty of ways to deal with him. His beloved disciple's martial arts had been completely destroyed, which made him completely furious. He could not wait to kill Yi Shiwen immediately. However, he also knew that it was impossible with Old Man Yi and Yi Tianqiong present. Humph, master, I will take my leave. Yijin Mo snorted and immediately left. Yi Tianqiong did not care at all. Instead, he looked at Yi Shiwen. There was no doubt about Yi Shiwen's talent. In just a few years, he had grown all the way to the level where he could even kill Celestial Realm experts. However, he was also very good at causing trouble. It seemed that it had been like this for a long time. Previously, there was the matter of the Yin-Yang life and death diagram, which put the Yi clan in the teeth of the storm. Now, he even had a confrontation with Yijin Mo, who had a high position in the Yi clan. This old guy was extremely arrogant. Although he was somewhat respectful in front of Yi Tianqiong, he was someone who did not even give face to the law enforcement hall master Yi Jintian. Now that Yi Shiwen had offended him, it was obvious that the collision between the two factions was inevitable. The law enforcement hall was in charge of the Yi clan's laws. Since ancient times, it had been one of the biggest forces in the Yi clan. Ordinary people did not dare to offend them. Yijin Mo was in charge of the Demon Domain channel. Most of the Yi clan's power was concentrated there. Yijin Mo was not someone who was easy to deal with. Originally, if it was only a contest between Yi Shiwen and Prince Jin and Prince Yu, he wouldn't have cared. Only the level of the 5 hegemons was qualified to make him slightly raise his eyebrows. However, Yijin Mo, this old guy, didn't play his cards according to common sense. He had personally dealt with Yi Shiwen. Perhaps Yi Shiwen wouldn't have been able to escape if old Yi hadn't come. Moreover, Yi Zhentian was not someone who would settle things peacefully. Although he was not as unreasonable as Yi Zhenmo, he was also stubborn, stinky, and stubborn. It was simply impossible for him to back down. At that time, it might involve the collision of two huge forces. At this time, as the patriarch, he had no choice but to step in. Otherwise, if things really escalated to that extent, it would be the vitality of the entire Yi clan that would be lost. Yi Shiwen, do you accept my punishment? Yi Tianqing asked. I'm not convinced, said Yi Shiwen. As long as he could transfer his uncle and third uncle out of the demon domain channel, there wouldn't be a better result than this. As for himself being exiled to the demon domain channel, he didn't care much about it. At least, he was more suitable than his uncle and third uncle. Only the Heaven Realm experts could protect themselves in the demon domain's channel. The Transcendent Realm was simply a cannon fodder in the demon domain. The Law Manifestation Realm had the possibility of dying at any time. Only the Heaven Realm experts could protect themselves. As long as they didn't encounter an expert that was much stronger than them, they could protect themselves under normal circumstances. On the contrary, Yi Shiwen was somewhat grateful. For Yi Tianqing to do this much, it was already enough for him. Yi Tianqing could see that Yi Shiwen was speaking from the bottom of his heart. He couldn't help but nod slightly. Although Yi Shiwen caused trouble everywhere, in general, he was still a person who knew what was good for him, unlike Yi Zhenmo, who was simply an ignorant old man. He made such a judgment, to a large extent, because he felt that this matter was caused by the 9 revolutions Taishian golden pill he bestowed. Originally, he didn't care about it. It was just a matter of the younger generation, who knew that as Yi Shiwen's cultivation continued to increase, this matter not only did not stop, but it also became more and more serious. In the end, even Yi Zhenmo, the old man, was alarmed from the demon domain channel. If he didn't stop it, it would probably be a big mess. Very well, in the next time, when can you kill 21st Sky of Celestial Realm, 10-second Sky of Celestial Realm, 5/3 Sky of Celestial Realm, and 1/4 Sky of Celestial Realm Demon Master, you can come out. Otherwise, you can always stay in there, Yi Tianqing said. This time, it was indeed a light sentence for Yi Shiwen. However, it did not mean that Yi Tianqing would let him off easily. Killing a fellow disciple was a serious crime in any force. If it was only done secretly, he would turn a blind eye to it. However, if it was done openly, he would not let him off lightly. Hearing Yi Tianqing's request, Yi Shiwen couldn't help but take a breath of cold air. If it was just the first Sky of Celestial Realm, with his current cultivation, even if he wanted to kill 21st Sky of Celestial Realm devils, as long as he was given time, it would not be a problem. However, these 10-second Sky of Celestial Realm Masters were already beyond his ability, not to mention there were 5/3 Sky of Celestial Realm, and 1/4 Sky of Celestial Realm Devil Master. Unless he stepped into the Celestial Realm, there was still a possibility, but how long would that take? How about it, are you dissatisfied? Yi Tianqing glanced at Yi Shiwen and said. Throwing him into the Devil Domain channel was not only to train him, but also to protect him at the same time. There were still a lot of people outside who were interested in his yin-yang life and death diagram. At the same time, it was also to let him have some peace, in case he kept making trouble. Yes. Yi Shiwen cupped his hands and said. But now, there was no other way, but for him, the Devil Domain channel was not as terrible as many people thought. With Tianyuan Mirror, it was enough to suppress those devils. Well, when you are ready, go to the Devil Domain channel by yourself. Yi Tianqing didn't continue to say anything more to Yi Shiwen. He turned around and his figure gradually disappeared in the sky. He directly disappeared in the space, not flying away. Yi Shiwen couldn't help but be secretly surprised. This kind of teleportation could only be done by people who had a very deep understanding of space. Just from this point, Yi Tianqing's strength was unimaginably deep. Even on Bai Xiaoxing's ranking list, Yi Tianqing's strength was enough to be on it. Although he didn't know the specific ranking, Just being on the list meant that he was among the top experts in the world. After Yi Tianqiong left, the onlookers also left one after another. Although many people didn't say anything, they could see that in this collision, Yi Shiwen could be considered to have won. Although he was sent to the Devil Domain Channel, one must know that Prince Yu on the other side was directly crippled of his martial arts. Even so, Yi Shiwen was only sent to the Devil Domain. Although those requirements were very serious in the eyes of many Celestial Realm experts. Celestial Realm experts of the fourth heavenly layer, such experts were not easy to meet even in the Devil Domain passage, not to mention that they had to be killed. In the eyes of many people, this was simply forcing Yi Shiwen. No matter how powerful Yi Shiwen was, it was impossible to achieve it in a short period of time. During this period of time, he would be locked in the Devil Domain Channel. Originally, this was not a big deal. The real problem was that this was Yijin Mo's territory. When the time came, would Yijin Mo let Yi Shiwen go easily? This created a lot of problems for Yi Shiwen. Not to mention completing the task, it was very difficult for him to even survive. It was not wrong to say that the Patriarch was biased towards Yi Shiwen. It was also not wrong to say that they were both punished. Old Yi, thank you for saving me this time. Otherwise, I'm afraid that I will be in big trouble, Yi Shiwen said to Old Yi. Yijin Mo's help is just trouble for you. Old Yi looked at Yi Shiwen and said with a smile that didn't seem like a smile. Yi Shiwen suddenly felt a little embarrassed. Even if Yijin Mo made a move just now, it was not that he was helpless. Although he didn't know if he could escape from Yijin Mo's real body, he still had a way to deal with it. But how should he explain this to Old Yi? Especially his devil wings. He simply couldn't see people. Even if he was wrapped in divinity, he still didn't want to expose it in front of people. Fortunately, Old Yi didn't ask too much. Everyone had their own secrets. Yi Shiwen was no exception. He also didn't want to investigate further and said, "This time, you can only rely on yourself in the Devil Domain Channel. I can't follow you. But you can rest assured that Yijin Mo will not personally attack you in the future because of the Patriarch's warning. But even so, you still have to be careful. Although he won't personally attack you, this guy is narrow-minded. You not only made him lose face, but also crippled his beloved disciple's martial arts. He certainly won't let you go easily." Yi Shiwen nodded with a serious look on his face. Judging from Yijin Mo's posture a moment ago, he absolutely wouldn't let him go easily. But this was also a great test and a spur for him. However, the thing that really made him a little entangled was the Imperial Court struggle that would take place 2 years later. If he couldn't come out in time, then this Imperial Court struggle would basically have nothing to do with him. More than half of the 10 years of preparation time had passed. So, he naturally wouldn't be willing to give up now. His mentality was different from before. At that time, Yi Shiwen needed such an opportunity to make a name for himself. He needed to gain a firm foothold in the Yi family. He needed to make the higher-ups of the Yi family refrain from attacking him. But now, he had already achieved his goal. Chapter 1424. Right now, he simply wanted to compete with those top-notch experts in the Imperial Court contest. But if he had to stay in the Demon Domain passage for a period of time, then for him, he might not be able to make it in time for the Imperial Court struggle. An opportunity to see the top masters of the younger generation of all mankind would be missed. He felt somewhat regretful in his heart. That was a battlefield that even the 5 hegemons could not dominate. After Yi Tianqiong's order, Yi Junhai and Yi Zhenyan's families were quickly dispatched from the Demon Domain passage. It was silent, and no one paid attention to this matter anymore. "AI winner, this time we have implicated you," Yi Junhai sighed and said. This time, for him, he really felt like he had escaped from death. With his cultivation, even if he went to the Demon Domain passage, it could not be said that he would definitely die, but that was under the situation where no one targeted him. On the contrary, if someone targeted him, killing a half-step Celestial Realm expert would be as easy as flipping a hand. And the price of being able to escape from death was that Yi Shiwen would be sent to the Demon Domain passage, which was equivalent to suffering in their place. Uncle, speaking of this matter, I have implicated you. If it were not for me, that old man Yijin Mo would not have attacked you, Yishuan said. He did not feel that he had been implicated. On the contrary, he felt that he had clearly implicated Yi Junhai and the others. Ai, big brother Winner, we are all family, there is no need to talk about implicating us. During this time, haven't we also received special treatment because of Winner? Those who did not even look at us in the eye before, are now just as polite to us. Even Mao and Kair have become Celestial Realm Master's disciples. These are all brought by Winner. Everything is decided by the heavens, Yi Junyan said. This made Yishuan somewhat look at him in a different light. This third uncle did not seem to be a particularly wise person usually. During this time, because of Yishuan, the Luoyes City branch family also received a lot of care. Not to mention, as the family of the young hall master of the Law Enforcement Hall, the Law Enforcement Hall naturally looked after the Luoyes City branch family more. That's true, ha ha ha! Yi Junhai immediately said with a smile. He was not that narrow-minded. He had been demoted from the main family to a branch family, and he had even experienced the tragic death of his younger brother's family. What had he not experienced? What could he not accept? But Winner, I can tell you that the passage to the demon realm is extremely dangerous. We have only stayed there for a short period of time, but we almost lost our lives several times. If it wasn't for your help this time, we might have died tragically in there before long, Yi Junhai said. Yi Junhai and the others still had a look of lingering fear on their faces. On such a battlefield, the clan soldiers and Dao soldiers were the main force of the battle, and it was often the collision of large armies. When hundreds of thousands or millions of Transcendence Realm, half-step Celestial Being Realm, and even many Celestial Being Realm experts were fighting with all their might, the power of any individual was so small and not worth mentioning at all. Only here could one truly see what it meant to have countless experts. More than half of the Yi family's experts were here. In order to suppress the experts of the Devil World, many of the Yi family's experts were here. This was an existence that was simply unimaginable in the outside world. You are going to enter the Demon Realm passage now. At that time, Yijin Mo will definitely not let you go easily. You have to be careful, Yi Junhai said worriedly. In fact, this was what he was most worried about. Otherwise, with Yishuan's strength, he would not have to worry at all. Yijin Mo's influence in the Demon Realm passage was great. During this time, they were deeply aware of it. Don't worry, it won't be so easy for them to touch me, Yishuan said with a slight smile. After saying goodbye to Yi Junhai and the others, Yishuan went to see Yi Juntian again. The Law Enforcement Hall was empty and quiet. No one came to disturb him. Only Yi Juntian had his eyes closed, and his mind was wandering. No one knew what he was thinking. Greetings, Master, Yishuan said with a deep bow. And Yi Juntian slightly hummed and said, I have also heard about this matter. I didn't expect that old man Yijin Mo to be so shameless. He actually used this kind of method to create a soul to escape. Fortunately, old Yi is here. Otherwise, I'm afraid you would have met with a calamity. Yi Juntian had also heard about this matter. Therefore, he was even angrier in his heart. Compared to protecting one's own people, Yi Juntian and Yijin Mo were not the slightest bit inferior. Moreover, Yi Juntian felt that he was standing on the side of reason this time. So, there was no need for him to be polite. The Patriarch has allowed you to go to the Demon Realm. This is a kind of tempering for you. At the same time, it is also a kind of protection for you, Yi Juntian said. You should know that the yin-yang life and death diagram on your body has always been a target of concern for many people. Although it seems that things have calmed down on the surface, in fact, there are still many people paying attention to this matter at all times. In the Imperial Court Hegemony competition, there will certainly be many experts. With your strength, even if you enter, it will be a dead end. On the contrary, if you can do what the Patriarch has said, then even in the Imperial Court Hegemony competition, it will be enough for you to stand out. At that time, even if those people want to have any ideas about you, they will not be able to think about it. Master means that this is a test. If I can't achieve it within 2 years, then I will not have the opportunity to go to the Imperial Court Hegemony competition. Is this what you mean? Yishuwen said. Yes, that's right. The Imperial Court Hegemony competition is not a matter that matters to me. You don't need to care too much about it. Even if you win the championship, you are still young. You don't need to worry about this matter, Yizhentian said. Then I understand, Yishuwen said. After bidding farewell to Yizhentian, Yishuwen did not stay any longer. He immediately went to the depths of the Yi family's Devil Domain channel. The vast Devil Domain channel once again appeared in front of Yishuwen. This time, Yishuwen was no longer like before. He could only look at it from afar. Instead, he could approach it. When he approached it, he found that this crack was much bigger than he had imagined. And on the other side of the crack, the devil chi was constantly seeping out, polluting some of the surrounding scenery. Even if the Yi family's elders were constantly repairing this seal, there was still devil chi constantly seeping out. This was because the scope of this crack was too big. It was so big that some small details were simply impossible to be discovered. Countless demonic auras were surging out from it, and in the sky above this huge crack, there were countless arrays suppressing the demonic auras that were gushing out. What was in the depths seemed to be isolated by the power of the arrays. Even with Yishuwen's eyesight, he was unable to see through it. It was thousands of miles long and thousands of miles wide. From afar, it looked like a gigantic demon that had opened its bloody mouth and was about to devour everything. Yishuwen had just entered the range of the Devil Domain channel. Almost immediately, he felt a tyrannical divine sense sweeping over him. Some of them just swept over him and did not spend much effort on him. But there were also some people who were firmly nailed to him. Yishuwen did not stop and directly rushed into the Devil Domain channel in one fell swoop. Not long after Yishuwen had left, several experts arrived here. What's going on? Why did he leave so quickly? He actually ran away. What are you afraid of? As long as he is still in this Devil Domain channel, we will find him sooner or later. At that time, we will skin him and pull out his tendons to avenge our junior. That's right. In this Devil Domain channel, there is chaos. Even the mysteries of heaven are covered. It is a place without order. Since he has entered here, he will only die quietly. After these people stayed for a while, they quickly disappeared along the place where Yishuwen had just left without a trace. However, what was surprising was that not long after they left, Yishuwen's figure suddenly flashed out of the sky. It turned out that when he rushed in just now, it was all an illusion. The aura left behind made them misjudge. Then, he quietly rushed back and just happened to see this scene. This Shiren is really Yizhenmo's disciple. He actually wants to kill me here. Yishuwen sneered slightly. It was a pity that they had miscalculated. It was just that Shiren's strength was more tyrannical than Prince Yu. He was probably already at the 2nd or 3rd level of the celestial being realm. He was far from what Yishuwen could kill now. Moreover, they had not entered the Demon Domain's channel yet. If he really killed them, it would also cause a strong backlash from Yizhenmo. Thinking of this, he immediately rushed into the Devil Domain channel without any hesitation. Hula! In the Devil Domain channel, waves of demonic aura rushed out. In this sealed place, countless spiritual aura mixed with demonic aura scattered in the entire sky. For ordinary masters, the first thing they should do when they came to the Devil Domain channel was to learn how to absorb the mixed spiritual aura in the demonic aura. However, for Yishuwen, he did not need to care about this at all. He immediately inhaled all of it. For him, whether it was demonic aura or spiritual aura, there was no difference. With Tianyuan mirror, even if it was demonic aura, it could also be completely absorbed by him. Then, he scanned his surroundings. What surprised him was that although this was one of the passageways between the two worlds, it was abnormally stable, as if it had been stabilized by a powerful force. As a result, although this was a spatial passageway, it was like a world of its own, capable of accommodating heaven-tier experts fighting within. The frenzied battle between Tao soldiers and demonic soldiers would even cause a world like the true martial realm to collapse on the spot, yet this place was able to accommodate it. This in itself was a miracle. Chapter 1425. Generally speaking, different worlds had different degrees of stability. The most stable one was naturally a main world like the ancient Baron's continent. It was the highest plane among the many planes and possessed the most perfect heavenly way law. God knew how many amazing almighty figures were born there. The arrays they left behind protected the ancient Baron's continent one by one. This allowed the ancient Baron's continent to not shatter even if it received a battle of the heaven realm, or even higher levels. Next would be the inferior main planes like the true martial domain. They were essentially the same as the ancient Baron's continent, just that their levels weren't as high as the ancient Baron's continent. Generally, the level of power they could withstand was also different. Then, there were some half-planes. These planes were usually born by relying on the main plane. Generally, they were still considered stable. The truly unstable ones were the open space channels, which could collapse at any time. That was because the power of the space storm itself was an extremely terrifying power. Just stabilizing it was difficult, not to mention forming such a huge battlefield. It wasn't something an ordinary person could do. However, there was almost no need to guess. This was definitely the work of the almighty figures from the demon domain. After all, the humans couldn't wait for this space channel to collapse. If that happened, the Yi family could extract a huge amount of power and become the top force in the ancient Baron's continent in the blink of an eye. As for the demon domain, it seemed that they had suffered a blow from the previous invasion of the ancient Baron's continent. Although a long time had passed, they still hadn't launched a large-scale attack. Although the battle in this crack was still intense like a raging tide, compared to the large-scale invasion of the demon domain, it was just a small skirmish. Even so, it had already involved more than half of the Yi family's power. Before coming, Yishiwen had made preparations. He knew that his current location was the outermost region of the demon domain's battlefield channel. The real core battlefield was at the centermost position. In order to consolidate this battlefield, the Yi family had set up a super city, 10 super main cities, and hundreds of satellite cities in the demon domain channel. The cities formed a huge defensive chain, blocking the demon domain's attack outside. From afar, Yishiwen could see a terrifying aura of slaughter rising up. Machi and Lingqi were crazily colliding with each other. The killing here seemed to have never stopped for a moment. There were crazy battles at all times. Moreover, the closer one got to the central area, the more intense the battles became. Yishiwen could even sense that there were top-notch experts at the peak of Celestial Realm fighting near the Yi clan's super city in the central area. Even in the outer regions, fierce battles could be felt at all times. This made Yishiwen's heart palpitate. He was afraid that he couldn't fight here for a long time. Otherwise, it would attract a large number of experts. However, they certainly wouldn't come to watch, but to kill. When the sandpiper and the clam fought, the fisherman would reap the benefits. Yishiwen immediately flew toward one of the Yi clan's cities. He wanted to find a city to settle down first. At the same time, he also used the restraining breath technique to change his physique and appearance. He simply turned into a tall middle-aged man. Having cultivated to this level, he had long been able to control every muscle in his body, even every cell. It was not difficult to change his appearance at all. However, after his cultivation had reached this level, ordinary people would have to rely on their aura to judge, and the disguise would also be easily seen through. Only the disguise technique that he had practiced with the restraining breath technique would not be seen through. He knew that Yizhenmo's people must be looking for his whereabouts everywhere. Once they found him, it would inevitably be a big battle. One must know that Yizhenmo was the city lord of one of the 10 main cities of the Yi clan. That main city was also renamed to Suppressing Demon City because of his relationship with Yizhenmo. It could be seen that Yizhenmo could cover the sky with one hand in the Devil World's passage. His power was monstrous. Before he had enough power to protect himself, He didn't want to expose himself in front of Yizhen. Fortunately, he was not conscripted into the Devil World's passage because that was equivalent to a soldier in service. Wherever he went would be decided, and he couldn't leave at will. It was simply impossible for him to be as relaxed as he was now. He flew into a meteorite belt. Such meteorite belts could be seen everywhere in this space. They were the remains of battles between experts. Jia, another human has come to die! Suddenly, there was a burst of very deep and sinister laughter. Before Yishuin could think too much, a big hand immediately fell down. Then, a very huge body appeared in front of Yishuin. It was like a small mountain, and in front of him, Yishuin was simply like an ant. His huge fangs constantly flashed with a frightening light. It's the giant demon clan! Yishuin immediately recognized them. Originally, he was trained by Emo as the future demon king. How could he not recognize these demons? The giant demon clan's celestial beings had infinite strength, and were extremely fierce. They were often the main force in attacking cities. As soon as he came in, he actually encountered such a celestial realm-level giant demon, and it even knew to guard this place and surprise attack every human warrior that came in. This completely subverted Yishuin's understanding of the giant demon clan. According to Yishuin's original understanding of the giant demon clan was often the main force in attacking cities on the spot. They were huge and often had no brains. He made a grabbing motion with his big hand, and a demonic hand covered the sky. Black clouds rolled, and the entire sky seemed to be covered. It pressed down on Yishuin's head. A celestial realm-level demon made a move, and in an instant, it could completely kill a half-step celestial realm warrior. Yishuin directly made a move. In the void, in an instant, countless phantoms appeared, dreamlike and illusory. Each of the phantoms turned into a stream of light. Almost instantly, they turned into rays of light, like a golden light net, and instantly surrounded this sky-covering demon hand. Poochie! 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 A series of explosions came, and this sky-covering demon hand seemed to be cut by countless sword lights, and it burst open on the spot. How can he be so fast? This giant demon was a little stunned. He did not expect Yishuin's speed to be so fast. Although the speed of the giant demon was slow, it was also relative to the same level. No matter how fast the speed of a half-step celestial realm warrior was, it was simply impossible to compare with the speed of a celestial realm warrior. Celestial realm warriors could integrate themselves into the laws of heaven and earth, and their speed was limited no matter how slow they were. And no matter how fast the half-step celestial realm warrior was, it was difficult to be the opponent of these celestial realm warriors. Therefore, it had been very smooth in the past. Those half-step celestial realm warriors or human clan warriors in the law manifestation realm could not escape from its big hands. They were directly grabbed to death by it, and then directly became its blood food. But on Yishuin's side, it found that it was not like this at all. Yishuin's speed was faster than it. Immediately, a huge mace appeared in the giant demon's hand, and it was thrown at Yishuin on the spot. Hula! In the void, the mace made a terrible sonic boom. This giant demon was the king of the giant demons, and it was already completely different from ordinary giant demons. It had infinite strength, and its strength could split mountains. When the mace was smashed down, it could blast a mountain range. Dang! Yishuin raised his hand to block it. With a loud buzzing sound, the whole mace hit Yishuin's palm fiercely. Yishuin suddenly felt a tingling pain in his palm, but the mace was not enough to pierce through Yishuin's defense. This mace could be ranked as a heaven-level power tool, but it was relatively crude among heaven-level power tools. It did not have any special power. The only thing was that it was heavy as Mount Tai. Yishuin did not know what material was used to make it, but it was incomparably heavy. If it were an ordinary person, they would probably be smashed to death on the spot. Even if it did not have any power, it was the most suitable for him. Yishuin immediately opened his mouth, and a mouthful of sword chi shot out, directly sweeping towards this giant demon. This giant demon's reaction was also very fast. It immediately spread out a big hand, blocking Yi Shiwen's sword chi. Clang! There was a loud explosion, but Yi Shiwen's flying sword directly passed through it. The terrifying sword ki directly pierced through the giant devil's entire arm. The giant devil's bones were as hard as iron, but Yi Shiwen's sword ki still managed to pierce through it. Roar! The giant demon roared in pain, and his entire arm exploded on the spot, just like an explosive, directly exploding. Yi Shiwen's sword chi drilled through it, just like a swimming dragon. The blood mist that filled the sky was also sucked into Yi Shiwen's body by a suction force. A part of it was transformed into pure profound chi by Tianyuan mirror, integrated into his body, and the rest was completely absorbed by Tianyuan mirror. Tianyuan mirror had a natural restraining effect on these devils. Yi Shiwen could feel that Tianyuan mirror had become more powerful, and it was one step closer to Yi Mo's awakening. Impossible! The giant demon roared, and couldn't believe it. His body was so powerful, but it was actually blown up by a sword chi, and the opponent was a half-step celestial being realm brat. 20 celestial being realm first layer, let's start with you! Yi Shiwen looked at him with a somewhat awe-inspiring look, and an iron sword appeared in his hand. His body suddenly took a step forward. Shio! His figure was like a golden light, and it directly flashed in front of the giant demon, and the sword chi continuously spurted out. Shwa! It directly streaked across an astonishing light. Pu-chi! A blood light soared into the sky, and the giant demon's head was directly cut off by Yi Shiwen's sword. Blood spurted out like a column, and the giant demon's head directly slid down and was absorbed by Yi Shiwen's Tianyuan mirror. This was the proof of his killing, and the other parts of the giant demon were suddenly blown up, turned into blood mist, and were absorbed by Tianyuan mirror. 19 more! Chapter 1426. In a quiet mountain forest, the entire battlefield, after countless years of battles and reinforcement, had also formed a world. There were mountains and rivers, and it was no different from the real world. It should even be said that this was a real world in itself, a world formed after countless years. But unlike the ordinary world, in this world, because of the mutual penetration of demon chi and spiritual chi, the entire scene was like a scene of the demon world and the desolate times merging together. Even the birth of many magical beasts and demon beasts, two completely different systems collided here. And in a quiet mountain forest, the continuous roars of magical beasts and demon beasts in the past had also disappeared at this time. A powerful aura pervaded the entire mountain forest. That terrifying aura had driven all the demon beasts and magical beasts hundreds of miles away. And in a cave in this mountain range, a cyan figure was sitting cross-legged inside. It was Yi Shiwen. A full month had passed, and in this period of more than a month, he had only beheaded 5 devils of the first heavenly layer of celestial being realm. It was not that his speed was too slow, but it was not an easy task to find these devils of the first heavenly layer of celestial being realm in this long battlefield. In this battlefield between humans and demons, only the top experts were concentrated in the center of the battlefield. Although there were other experts scattered in other places, but generally, it was impossible for them to wander in the open, just like that giant devil, generally in order to ambush the experts of human race, and by the time the news of their successful ambush was sent back, it would often be too late. By the time Yi Shiwen inquired about the news, and then rushed over, more often than not, the shadow of the enemy had already disappeared. Only a few times did he encounter a devil that could not retreat in time, and beheaded them. However, there were only 2 years left until the royal court struggle. At this rate, he wouldn't even have enough time to slay those demons, let alone cultivate. And yesterday, he had just beheaded the 5th celestial realm first heavenly layer devil, and he felt that he was only one step away from a breakthrough. These celestial realm devils had very strong chi and blood. Even if only a part of it was absorbed by Yi Shiwen, most of it was absorbed by Tianyuan mirror. For Yi Shiwen, who had now entered the peak, it was also a great promotion. The chi and blood of the celestial realm level was simply hundreds of times higher than that of the half-step celestial realm. This was much better than killing those half-step celestial realm, and in essence, it was not the same thing at all. So he found a mountain top and directly began a closed-door training. These mountains were almost like islands floating in the core battlefield world. And the land where the Yi family's super city was located was a supercontinent, and the location of each city was also a very large continent, and there were many small island-like mountains outside, floating in the void. Because he was afraid of being disturbed by the demon beasts on these mountains, he directly released his aura to scare away these demon beasts and magical beasts. Compared to humans, these demon beasts and magical beasts were more sensitive to aura, and were easier to deal with. Behind him, the shadow of a huge ancient tree faintly appeared, and in the void, there was even the sound of the gods chanting ancient scriptures. The chi and blood in his body were constantly surging, constantly washing away the realm belonging to the half-step celestial realm middle stage, washing away the cracks section by section. Yishuan's face showed a somewhat painful expression. This was more difficult to break through than he had imagined, perhaps because of too much precipitation, causing the barrier to be who knew how many times stronger than ordinary people. Every time he washed away the barrier of the realm, he felt like there were countless needles pricking his body. Although there was a somewhat painful expression on his face, Yishuan did not stop in the slightest, constantly attacking, and time was also passing by. And just as Yishuan was constantly attacking the half-step celestial realm middle stage, a group of people appeared on the periphery of the mountains. The leader was a young man about 20 years old, dressed in a luxurious robe, looking a bit frivolous and mean, and behind him was a middle-aged man who looked about 40 years old. All the aura on his body faintly integrated with the sky, turned out to be a master of the celestial realm, and not an ordinary master. And behind these two people, there was a group of powerful masters of the half-step celestial realm late stage, all wearing the same clothes, obviously these two people's subordinates. "I can feel the aura of the divine object, there is no doubt." The young man showed a somewhat excited expression on his face. This was a magical talent that belonged to him. As long as there was a grade of heaven and earth treasure within a certain range, he could feel it, he believed in his own judgment. "But young master, I clearly feel that in this mountain, there seems to be someone, and it seems that he is breaking through. Maybe the divine object that young master sensed is his," said the middle-aged man. "That would be the best, Uncle Thunder. This aura is so strong, most likely also a master of the celestial realm. Now that he is breaking through, it is really a good thing. If I devour him, with the help of the bloodthirsty heart refining technique, I can directly attract the disaster of heaven and earth, directly step into the celestial realm in one go. At that time, who would dare to look down on me?" The young master's face showed a bit of a ferocious expression, a bit cruel, but also a bit happy. "But young master, the opponent is obviously not a demon. Without the aura of a demon master, attacking human warriors here is a taboo," said the Uncle Thunder hesitantly. "If you don't say, I don't say, who in this world will know? So what if we kill him? Cultivating to the celestial realm is bound to fail, every day, and when he is breaking through, he met us, obviously, we are his disaster. This is heaven's will, as the so-called heaven's gift. If you don't take it, you will suffer." The young lord sneered. It was obvious that he didn't care about the so-called convention at all. "And it is precisely because it is not a demon master that it is easy to kill. If it is a demon master of the celestial realm, their body is a priceless treasure. But who would dare to buy the body of a human warrior? Isn't that right? Since you can't sell it anyway, why not let me devour it? When I step into the heaven tier, I'll definitely inherit the Thunder Demon Hunt Squad in the future. At that time, if I have any benefits, you, Uncle Thunder, will definitely get yours." In the Yi clan's realm of Devil's Passage, not everyone was a disciple of the Yi clan and the Yi clan's subsidiary forces. There were many outsiders, who came here specifically to kill the demons, in other words, the so-called professional demon hunters. Of course, they did not come from the Yi clan's internal passage, but from the transmission formation in other places. These people wandered throughout the passage of the demon realm, constantly hunting the scattered demons. The Yi clan did not oppose this behavior, and even encouraged it, because their existence saved a lot of the Yi clan's strength, so they could focus on dealing with the demons that had formed an army, instead of splitting their strength to deal with the demons that had sneaked in. The relationship between the Yi family and these demon hunters was mutually beneficial. Some of the demon hunters would also unite and form demon hunt groups. Over time, they would take root and sprout in the passage to the demonic world, forming a huge force. However, compared to a colossus like the Yi family, these demon hunt groups were nothing. Moreover, these demon hunt groups basically relied on the Yi family to make a living. Without the Yi family to block the invasion of the demon race's army, they would be swept clean by the demon race in an instant. Uncle Thunder showed a bit of hesitation on his face and said, "Now the deputy head is still waiting for the results of our investigation, and I thought it was caused by a demon expert. Now we'd better go back and discuss with the deputy head first." "What is there to discuss? By the time the discussion comes to a conclusion, it will be too late." This young master could not wait to rush in directly. He was actually an expert at the peak of the late stage of half-step celestial being realm, and his skill was abnormally profound. It was precisely because of this that he wanted to devour this celestial being realm expert in his imagination. If he could devour a celestial being realm expert, he would directly attract the heavens' retribution on the spot, and break into the celestial being realm on the spot. At that time, even in the demon hunt group, he would be a character who would dare to continue to look down on him. Seeing this young master rush in, Uncle Thunder and the other experts had no choice but to rush in as well. The young lord had just rushed in when he saw the shadow of the enlightening mind ancient tree. He immediately burst into laughter. "Ha ha, I've struck it rich. I didn't expect to see the enlightening mind ancient tree here. Heaven really wants me to achieve meteoric success." He had completely regarded the enlightening mind ancient tree as his own thing, and as for Yishiwen, he had completely selectively ignored him. "It's mine!" This young master roared, and immediately formed a big hand, grabbing towards the enlightening mind ancient tree. Boom! However, he grabbed a huge layer of barrier, and it directly exploded on the spot, causing the heavens to constantly retreat. His eyes showed a bit of surprise, and at this time, he noticed that the person who was breaking through was actually not in the celestial being realm. Although the aura was also powerful and terrifying, it was indeed not in the celestial being realm, and he could still easily distinguish this point. Not in the celestial being realm, but can actually be so powerful. A look of jealousy flashed in his eyes. Chapter 14:27. He's not in the celestial realm, and yet he's so powerful. A hint of jealousy flashed through his eyes. He thought that he was the top genius in the world, but now he had just stepped into the peak of the late stage of the celestial realm. This was not the most important thing. The most important thing was that the young man in front of him had not yet stepped into the celestial realm, but he already had the aura comparable to the celestial realm. Once such a person stepped into the celestial realm, he didn't even dare to imagine how powerful he would be. Because of this, endless jealousy flashed through his heart. Damn it, how could someone be so strong? It's impossible. There shouldn't be such a monster in this world. That's why God sent me to destroy you. This is your disaster. And what made him the most crazy was that he could exude the aura of the celestial realm with the cultivation of the half-step celestial realm. How many fortuitous encounters did he have to be able to do this? Not to mention the treasures of heaven and earth, just his body alone was a nourishing tonic. A few days ago, he got this bloodthirsty mind cultivation method from a demon of the demon clan, which specialized in devouring people's flesh and absorbing all the energy in the flesh. If he could devour this horrifying half-step celestial being realm, then his cultivation would not only soar to the celestial being realm, but it was also possible for him to go further. Thinking of this, there was a bit more greed in his eyes. All these gave him a reason to kill Yishiwen. Uncle Thunder, kill him! Now is the critical time for him to break through. If we don't do it now, we won't have a chance, the young master roared. At this moment, Uncle Lay had no other way out. The young master had already made a move just now. Attacking him while he was breaking through meant that he had completely offended the young master. Since that was the case, he might as well make a move early and kill the young master to nip the danger in the bud. He attacked directly, and his movement was extremely fast, almost like a flash of light. In an instant, he had already rushed in front of Yishiwen. A huge ball of lightning appeared in his hand, and he suddenly smashed it down toward Yishiwen. Boom! A huge explosion rang out, and a huge mushroom cloud rose up from the middle, annihilating all the atoms. This was the attack of a heaven-tier expert. Yishiwen was intact. However, a huge ancient bronze cauldron had appeared above his head, and was firmly protecting him. A top-grade heaven-class Dharma treasure! A top-grade heaven-class Dharma treasure! The corners of the young lord's mouth were on the verge of drooling. Seeing another heaven-rank celestial artifact appear before his eyes, he was about to die from laughter. Today was truly his harvest day. The enlightening mind ancient tree alone was already priceless. Although this ancient bronze cauldron was not as priceless as the enlightening mind ancient tree, it was still very valuable. Under normal circumstances, only experts at the peak of the heaven realm could possess a celestial artifact of this level. Uncle Lay, kill him! You must kill him! I must seize all the wealth on him! He must be a person with great luck! If such a person is devoured by me, I will be able to seize his luck. At that time, my luck will truly be invincible. Who would dare to look down on me? The young master roared. Uncle Lay, kill him! You must kill him! I must seize all the wealth on him. Get lost now. I will not pursue this matter. At this time, Yishiwen's body, which was sitting cross-legged and motionless, suddenly issued a loud shout, as if he wanted to scare them away. Ha, you want us to get lost? Do you think we are stupid? Uncle Lay, we have no other way out. Kill him. We must kill him. The young master roared. Uncle Lay did not have any hesitation. He was also very clear that there was no room for reconciliation between them. Between the two sides it was bound to be a battle of life and death. Although he did not want to get into such trouble from the bottom of his heart, since he had already sold it, then he would do his best. At this time, he spread out his hand, and suddenly countless thunder and lightning began to form into an electric dragon, covering the sky, sweeping invincible, and instantly bombarding Yishiwen. If it was in normal times, this master at the peak of the first level of celestial realm would not be able to move Yishiwen at all. But at this moment, when he was breaking through with all his strength, he could not move at all. Countless thunder and lightning turned the entire sky into a kingdom of thunder. In an instant, countless dazzling strong lights bombarded the 8-treasure universe cauldron on top of Yishiwen's head, causing the 8-treasure universe cauldron to vibrate unimaginably, making a buzzing sound. The terrifying power turned into a frenzy of energy, sweeping out, and shattering the void. The ancient bronze cauldron on top of Yishiwen's head could not help but dim a lot. Without Yishiwen personally presiding over it, its power could not help but be a lot weaker. Although he could not shake the 8-treasure universe cauldron in a short time, this Uncle Lay was very clear that now was the most critical time for Yishiwen's closed-door training. If he was disturbed, it was likely that he would fall short of success, or even directly die from chi deviation. At that time, they could be the fishermen, and they did not even have to do it themselves. At this time, some other masters of the half-step celestial realm also made their moves. Although their power was not as good as the masters of the celestial realm, the martial arts torrent blasted out by so many masters was still extremely terrifying. It even caused the entire sky to shake violently and distort. Boom! 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 It was unknown how long this indiscriminate bombardment lasted, but the 8-treasure universe cauldron gradually dimmed, in danger of being knocked down. Yishiwen couldn't make any progress. It was exactly what Uncle Thunder had expected. Yishiwen couldn't continue to break through under such high-intensity interference. If it wasn't for the enlightening mind ancient tree that forcibly stabilized his state and kept his mind as still as water, he might have already died from chi deviation. This group of people was really vicious. These demon hunters were simply like mercenaries, unscrupulous in order to achieve their goals. Just a little bit more, just a little bit more. The young master roared while desperately bombarding, like a beast. Bang! The 8-treasure universe cauldron was blasted out on the spot. Without Yishuan's control, it could only persist until here. This was because it was a heaven-level top-level martial instrument. If it was an ordinary martial instrument, even if it was a heaven-level martial instrument, it would have long been smashed. How could it persist until now? Haha, now is the time. Uncle Lei, kill him. The young master saw that he finally blasted the 8-treasure universe cauldron away, and was immediately overjoyed. While instructing Uncle Lei to attack Yishuan, a big hand directly grabbed the 8-treasure universe cauldron. Swish! An amazing sword light directly swept out and directly rotated in the air, like a huge tornado, instantly flying towards the big hand of the young master. Boom! With a loud roar, the big hand was blasted, and the sky was filled with blood mist. Ah! The young master let out a blood-curdling scream. His entire right arm was blasted into a bloody mist by a terrifying force. If he hadn't dodged at the last moment, it wouldn't have been just his right arm that had been blasted into pieces by the sword light, but his entire body. Ah, my hand, my hand! He screamed in pain as he stared at the cave with hatred in his eyes. There was a green figure that was slowly standing up. Very well, since I want to do closed-door training, and you don't give me peace, then none of you can leave. Yishuan kept sneering, and the chi and blood in his body surged out. He was already angry to the extreme. Just a little bit more, and he could smoothly enter the cultivation of half-step celestial realm middle stage. At that time, his strength would have a huge improvement. At that time, he would even be able to kill the devil of the second level of celestial realm, and then he would be one step closer to leaving this place. Now, someone actually forcefully broke into the closed-door training, and this was simply for the things on him. He heard it clearly. What young master? He actually wanted to swallow him up like a human medicine. Was he even human? He had clearly transformed into a devil. Senior, we will leave immediately. At this time, Uncle Lei had just recovered from the shock. Originally, he thought that his disturbance would definitely cause Yishuan to be possessed by the devil. At that time, he would just sit back and reap the benefits, so he finally decided to make a move. Who knew that this person was actually so terrifying? He actually did not suffer from the devil in this situation. He was simply a monster. Want to leave? Where do you think this is? Do you think you can come and go as you please? Yishuan smiled, and his killing intent became more and more intense. His anger burned through the sky. Uncle Lei, why do we have to leave? Kill him, my right arm, I want revenge. He actually dared to hurt me. I must kill him for revenge. I want to bite off his neck with my own mouth. The young master's eyes turned red, and there was a faint demonic aura rising from his body, almost turning him into a devil. This was the drawback of practicing the devil race's martial arts. You shut up! At this time, Uncle Lei unexpectedly scolded. You actually dare to scold me? Do you know who you are? You are just a servant of our family. How dare you scold me? The young master still could not believe that Uncle Lei, who had always been obedient and never said anything harsh, actually scolded him. If you don't shut up, I will kill you first, lest you get killed by him, Uncle Lei said coldly at this time. Those who could enter the heaven realm, which one of them was not an outstanding person of the present age? How could they not even have a little bit of responsibility? You! The young master had been completely scared silly. The murderous aura of Uncle Lei was too intense, so intense that he was scared to the point that he was stunned. Haha, I didn't expect that there is actually a discerning person. Unfortunately, because of this idiot, all of you will die today. Yishuan suppressed his anger and laughed. Chapter 1428. Senior, my young master's mistake was unintentional. Moreover, he has also lost an arm. It can be considered as retribution. How about we just forget about it? If you have any requests in the future, our Thunder Monster Hunting Group will definitely do our best to help. With the strength of our Thunder Monster Hunting Group as one of the top 10 monster hunting groups in the Demon Realm channel, we will be able to help you sooner or later. Uncle Thunder's aura was constantly fluctuating, but he still lowered his head a little. He had no choice. If he could, how could he be willing to lower his head like this? However, how could he not lower his head when he was under someone else's roof? In the face of Yishiwen, who was extremely tyrannical, he did not dare to be the slightest bit negligent. Although Yishiwen had yet to step into the celestial realm, his endless means made it impossible for anyone to have any thoughts of resisting. It would be best to resolve it if possible. Uncle Thunder's words were both soft and hard. It indicated that he was lowering his head, but at the same time, there was a faint threat. In other words, their Thunder Monster Hunting Group was one of the top 10 monster hunting groups. There was a powerful backer behind them. Thunder Monster Hunting Group? What the hell? Yishiwen said coldly. I even dared to provoke the city lord of one of the top 10 main cities, Yijinemo. What Thunder Monster Hunting Group? Uncle Thunder's expression changed slightly. Yishiwen's words did not give them a chance to leave at all. I've said it before. Today, none of you can leave, Yishiwen said, and a huge golden light soared from his body. A huge seal character flew into the sky, and suppressed the entire sky in an instant. His pseudo-Dao rune! At this moment, Uncle Thunder finally realized that things weren't good. This was a pseudo-Dao rune. To him, this pseudo-Dao rune was a legendary item. Ordinary people wouldn't even have heard of it, let alone seen it. He had only heard of the pseudo-Dao rune once by chance. However, this person in front of him actually possessed such a thing. One could imagine how terrifying this person was. This kind of person either had heaven-defying luck or a powerful background. No matter which one it was, they weren't existences that their Thunder Monster Hunting Group could provoke. If it wasn't for the rashness of this young master, he definitely wouldn't have agreed to incur enmity with such a person. At the same time, a majestic power of life and a powerful power of death erupted from Yishiwen's body. His entire body seemed to have been split into two halves. One half was alive, and the other half was dead. He looked like a living dead and was extremely terrifying. What should we do? It seems that we can't just tear off the seal. What should we do? Yishiwen said faintly. The power of life and death in his body rebelled almost the moment he used the word seal. The power of life and death that had been accumulated for such a long time began to tear his body apart on the spot. They were constantly washing inside his body. You! What the hell are you? At this moment, the young master finally realized what kind of terrifying thing he had provoked. Whoosh! Thunder Uncle instantly launched an attack. A huge thunder dragon appeared in his hand. The void was completely torn apart. Although there was only one dragon, it was more terrifying than the previous one. It blotted out the sky and covered the earth. This huge lightning dragon seemed to block out all the other sounds in the world, making them all disappear. This is not enough to appease my anger! Yishiwen roared. His figure was like a lightning bolt. A long sword appeared in his arm in an instant. In an instant, a scene of a sword lotus appeared in the sky. This huge rumbling dragon directly broke through the layers of space and instantly blasted into Yishiwen's sword lotus. Boom! Yishiwen's sword lotus slowly closed up. That thunder dragon was completely strangled on the spot. Almost in an instant, Yishiwen's sword lotus blasted out again. It seemed as if it would tear the entire sky apart. In the entire sky, everything seemed to be quiet for a moment. It seemed as if only Yishiwen's sword lotus could be seen. Crash! Yishiwen's sword lotus smashed down from the sky. Thunder Uncle roared and tore out countless thunder and lightning. He clawed at Yishiwen's sword lotus. Boom! Layers of energy waves swept out. Yi Shiwen's sword Lotus and Thunder Uncle's endless thunder and lightning collided with each other. Boom! Thunder Uncle was blasted away on the spot. Puff! He spat out a mouthful of blood. His entire arm was completely broken. If it wasn't for the thunder and lightning protecting his arm at the critical moment, he would have been dead on the spot. So strong! Thunder Uncle's eyes flashed with horror. He couldn't imagine how someone could be so strong. A person at the initial stage of half-step celestial realm could easily beat him half to death. Such a person was so powerful that it was terrifying. Step, step, step. Yi Shiwen walked over step by step. It was as if a legendary demon had walked out of hell. You, don't come over! That young master roared in horror. Didn't you say that you wanted to devour me? Yi Shiwen sneered. Friend, I hope you can be merciful. Our Thunder Monster Hunt group will be very grateful. He is the son of our leader. We can't let anything happen to him. That Thunder Uncle was still speaking for him at this time. You can't even protect yourselves. Why are you still speaking for others? Yi Shiwen said with a sneer. At this time, many of those half-step celestial realm masters began to attack Yi Shiwen crazily. Puff! 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 The sword light in Yi Shiwen's hand did not stop. Every time he waved his sword, there would be a flower of blood. These half-step celestial realm warriors couldn't even block one move from Yi Shiwen, and were all killed. You actually killed them, that young master said in horror. At this time, he couldn't care less about his right hand that had been completely blown up. Whoosh! Another sword light flashed. That young master's throat directly bloomed with a flower of blood. He died with everlasting regret. His spirit was directly destroyed on the spot. You! That Thunder Uncle was completely stunned by Yi Shiwen. Boom! There was a terrifying vibration outside. A powerful figure was madly hitting this seal, word. Deputy Leader? That Thunder Uncle looked at that tyrannical figure and couldn't help but reveal a somewhat surprised expression on his face. I don't care who you are. How dare you kill the people of our Thunder Monster Hunting Group? Are you tired of living? That figure kept roaring. When that Thunder Uncle saw this deputy leader, he immediately turned into a ball of lightning, and was about to escape in the direction of that figure. Want to leave? Yi Shiwen sneered and chased after him like lightning. Whoosh! The sword light broke through the sky and fiercely hit the descendant of that Thunder Uncle. Bang! This Thunder Uncle exploded on the spot, and his body was directly torn into pieces. And that seal, word, was also absorbed into Yi Shiwen's body in an instant. The boiling power of life and death in Yi Shiwen's body was also suppressed in an instant. He regained his calmness. At this time, he looked up into the sky and saw a middle-aged man in a tight outfit looking at Yi Shiwen with a fierce expression, as if he wanted to devour Yi Shiwen. This middle-aged man, who was also the deputy leader of the Thunder Monster Hunting Group, roared ferociously and said, I don't care who you are. Only death awaits you if you provoke our Thunder Monster Hunting Group. Yi Shiwen didn't say anything. He held a long sword and walked step by step towards this deputy leader. Kid, do you think you are my opponent? It seems that you still have a lot of secrets in your body. Hand them all over to me. This deputy leader saw Yi Shiwen absorb this seal, word, into his body with his own eyes. He also recognized this pseudo-Dao rune and naturally understood how precious this pseudo-Dao rune was. And there was actually something in Yi Shiwen's body that needed to be suppressed by the pseudo-Dao rune. This made him even more curious. But it didn't matter. Soon, these things would become his. At that time, his strength would not only go one step further. Such a good thing in the hands of this half-step celestial realm kid was simply a waste. Boom! The terrifying aura of this deputy leader exploded in an instant. The terrifying strength of the second level of celestial realm was released in an instant. Compared to the previous Uncle Thunder, it was not just a little stronger. It was simply like they were not in the same realm. Kid, what do you think the gap between the celestial realm is? Every step is like reaching the sky. You can defeat Ale, but you definitely can't withstand 3 moves from me, the deputy leader said confidently. He had such confidence. The aura of the deputy leader was getting stronger and stronger, completely enveloping Yishiwen. That terrifying aura almost completely stagnated the sky. It was completely different from the pressure that Uncle Thunder brought to Yishiwen just now. For Yishiwen, who was almost able to step into the second level of the half-step celestial realm, the pressure from Uncle Thunder was equivalent to no pressure at all. It could not form any real pressure at all. But this deputy leader was different. He had the ability to truly threaten him. If Yishiwen had just stepped into the half-step celestial realm, perhaps, as he said, he would not be able to withstand 3 moves, but now... It just so happens that I was about to break through and was interrupted by your people. Then you, come and be my whetstone. Yishiwen pointed the long sword in his hand at the deputy leader, and said, Don't underestimate me, or you will suffer a big loss. The aura on Yishiwen's body suddenly surged crazily. The golden aura condensed into a pillar, and when it confronted the aura of this deputy leader, it did not fall into much disadvantage. Chapter 1429. Yishiwen's aura was constantly rising. It was rising at an astonishing speed almost every minute and second until it reached the peak. Even the vice leader's face had a slightly startled look on it. Obviously, he hadn't expected that Yishiwen would have such power after he had climbed to the peak. It's over! The deputy leader shouted. A long saber appeared in his hand. He suddenly swung out a huge electric dragon. Even the sky was shattered by the slash. The saber slashed down directly. Take this, Thunder Demon Slayer! With an arrogant look on his face, a terrifying aura swept out like ripples, sweeping out in circles. The deputy leader indeed had the capital to be arrogant. Although there was only a difference of 1 level, he was much more tyrannical than Uncle Thunder. Yishiwen narrowed his eyes. It was no surprise. If the deputy leader was not strong enough, he would not be able to be Yishiwen's whetstone. Moreover, among these demon hunters, many chose to cultivate thunder magic because thunder magic was the nemesis of all darkness in the world. All negative energy would be restrained by it, and the demon race was undoubtedly the best of the best in the formation of negative energy. Choosing thunder techniques could effectively restrain the power of the demon race. When facing the demon race, the effect of other forces was quite limited, or even useless. Therefore, the deputy leader was already prepared. This saber directly isolated the world. The chaos was shaking violently. The deputy leader's speed was too fast. Almost in an instant, he had already rushed in front of Yishiwen, as if he wanted to cut Yishiwen in half. Wood-burning saber technique! A scimitar appeared in Yishiwen's hand. This scimitar was covered with countless flames. Among them, there were even a few strange flames burning crazily. He slashed at the Thunder Demon Slayer. Boom! The 2 long swords collided fiercely, creating a terrifying collision. It seemed as if 2 powerful forces had collided in the void. Infinite energy swept out in circles and splashed everywhere. Bang! After a long stalemate, Yishiwen's flame saber was slashed by the deputy leader's Thunder Demon Slayer, and directly hit Yishiwen's body. Clang! A loud sound was heard, and the 8 treasures Heaven and Earth Cauldron appeared on Yishiwen's body. The 8 treasures Heaven and Earth Cauldron emitted bursts of buzzing sound. However, that huge force still rippled through the 8 treasures Heaven and Earth Cauldron and reached Yishiwen's body. Dang dang dang! Yishiwen kept retreating, and directly broke through the vast sky. The void was shattered into pieces by this huge force. Yishiwen's complexion was slightly flushed, which was caused by the turbulence of his blood and chi. However, he wasn't the slightest bit discouraged. On the contrary, his eyes became more and more radiant. He had lost the previous exchange. His blade momentum had been completely broken. If it weren't for the 8 treasure Cosmos Cauldron protecting his body, he would have been seriously injured. It could be seen what kind of gap there was between a master at the second level of the celestial realm and a master at the first level of the celestial realm. Even so, that huge force still hit his body. If it weren't for his tyrant body, which blocked the aftermath, he would have been seriously injured. After all, he wasn't even in the celestial realm. It was easy to imagine how many steps he would have to take to get rid of this huge force. But fortunately, he found that the gap between his strength and that of the deputy leader was not that big. It was just a little bit, absolutely just a little bit. It was absolutely the best choice for him to choose this deputy leader as a whetstone. Yi Shiwen was very surprised, but the deputy leader on the opposite side was even more surprised. Yi Shiwen was surprised by the gap between him and the deputy leader, but he was really stunned. Yi Shiwen was actually able to block his attack, which was already incredible enough in itself. But then a huge look of greed flashed in his eyes. A trial that allowed a half-step celestial realm to compete with a celestial realm meant that there was a treasure in itself. He almost didn't have any pause, and directly slashed at Yi Shiwen on the spot. That huge thunder dragon smashed the void and attacked him. Boom! A blade broke through the sky, and the blade light almost slashed the world. It directly slammed down, and there was a huge turbulence between heaven and earth. Even Yi Shiwen could feel that this blade was threatening, as if it wanted to shake all the demons and ghosts between heaven and earth clean. But at this time, he also had nowhere to retreat. The 8-treasure cosmos cauldron above his head was constantly rotating, and a light curtain hung down to protect him in it, like an armor. The heaven-level martial instrument level curved blade in his hand attacked again. The wood-burning blade technique burned the world. Boom! 2 shocking rays of light rose from the middle, accompanied by boundless energy, and swept out in all directions. Even the boundless void was swept away by such a terrifying power, and all was annihilated. Yi Shiwen's body almost flew out from it. Such a terrifying power shook the light curtain hanging down from the 8-treasure cosmos cauldron on his body, and a crack began to appear. This deputy leader did not hold back at all. He launched a deadly attack right from the start, wanting to kill Yi Shiwen completely. That was why Yi Shiwen had no way to resist. The power of the second level of the celestial realm was much more terrifying than he had imagined. However, before he could even catch his breath, the deputy head once again pounced on him with an incomparably terrifying might. The long blade in his hand slashed out countless thunder dragons in the void. Then, it opened its bloody mouth and swallowed Yi Shiwen whole. Yi Shiwen rushed up again without any hesitation. Boom! 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 Yi Shiwen continued to attack, and every time, he was not willing to show weakness. He attacked the deputy leader tit for tat. Although the gap was not big, this gap was enough to form a fatal gap at this time. Without the 8-treasure cosmos cauldron to protect his body, he would have been dead long ago. It was impossible for an ordinary person to really fight against the celestial realm with the body of a half-step celestial realm. It was simply a miracle. Kill him! He must have had an unimaginable fortuitous encounter. After killing him, we'll seize him. The deputy head's eyes had already turned red. At this time, he kept roaring. He had been coveting Yi Shiwen's fortuitous encounter. Now, after seeing Yi Shiwen's strong performance, he was even more excited. If a half-step celestial realm kid could have such an ability, wouldn't he be able to double his strength in an instant? Thinking of this, how could his eyes not turn red, and after such a continuous head-on battle, how could he not be injured at all? Even his body was faintly injured by Yi Shiwen. Although the injury was not serious, it was shocking enough for a kid who was half a step into the celestial realm. You really have some tricks and some adventure, but from the moment you chose to be an enemy of the Thunder Battle Demon Squad, you are destined to die, the deputy leader said slowly. Yi Shiwen's eyes were unusually cold, as if there were stars in them. He just said coldly, "You talk too much nonsense!" He shouted, and the long blade in his hand had already danced in the path of the Great Way. Flames burned the sky, and the blade fell down towards the deputy leader. The deputy leader was also angry, and did not stop for a moment, and directly attacked Yi Shiwen. Boom! Another collision, and the two did not stop at all. Once again, they attacked each other. The entire sky instantly burst with incomparably terrifying light, and even the light of the sun in the sky was blocked. Fire and lightning, these two extremely terrifying powers of destruction, kept colliding in the void. Every time they collided, it seemed as if the entire sky would be destroyed. However, the laws here were abnormally tough. They were constantly being destroyed and repaired. The entire sky seemed to be in a state of chaos and destruction. The sea of lightning and the sea of flames alternately swept up, and frantically swept in all directions. No one knew how long this battle lasted, but Yi Shiwen was still blasted away again and again. On the other side, some wounds had also appeared on the deputy leader's body, and he did not even have time to heal. His face became extremely ugly. From the initial madness to now, he looked at Yi Shiwen as if he was looking at a madman. Or rather, it was in front of him that Yi Shiwen did not act like a normal person at all. Normal people were constantly blasted away, and they would have retreated a long time ago, but Yi Shiwen tirelessly rushed up. No, it should be said that no normal person would want to fight against a celestial realm expert with the realm of half-step celestial realm. If he did not see it with his own eyes and just heard it, he would only think that this person was crazy. However, Yi Shiwen had indeed done it. Even he was afraid when he looked at the end of this madness. Moreover, the most important thing was that Yi Shiwen's eyes were unusually calm. No matter how intense the battle was, there wasn't the slightest fluctuation in his eyes. Such a person was the most terrifying because he made people feel that he wasn't fighting a human, but a monster that would never tire. This was the most terrifying, fighting with an unknown monster that even they did not know. Boom! A majestic and terrifying force swept out, and a mysterious force swept out in circles like waves. A kind of power that had never been there before was boiling in his body. Roar! Yi Shiwen couldn't suppress the surging power in his bloodline, and the ancient imprints were all awakened. A long roar like that of a ferocious beast shook the world. At this moment, he almost transformed into a star colossus. He roared in the sky, and his ferocious power shook the surroundings. Half-step celestial realm middle stage. Chapter 1430. The aura on Yi Shiwen's body was rising little by little, but in the eyes of the deputy leader opposite him, it was not an improvement, but a truly terrifying power that had awakened in his body. Yes, the word awakened should be used, as if this magical power belonged to him innately, but now, this ability had awakened. And at this time, Yi Shiwen did not even wait for the aura on his body to calm down, and directly boiled up. Swish! A terrifying saber light engulfed the entire place. Everywhere the saber light passed by, the entire place started to boil like boiling water. Countless flames were ignited in an instant. A long saber immediately slashed down. That beam of blade light, as well as that long blade, were all condensed from the power of laws. Once he attacked, he would have the right to do so. For a heaven-tier elite, even the slightest bit of concession could result in their death. Once they attacked, they would have to give it their all. The saber light cut across the sky, instantly cutting everything, and cutting the world into two parts. And at this time, the deputy leader suddenly turned pale with fright. In a hurry, he quickly slashed out with his saber, and endless thunder dragons filled the sky, covering the sun, and collided with Yi Shiwen's saber aura. Dang! A loud bang resounded in all directions, and the terrifying sound wave directly annihilated many mountain rocks, forming a huge vacuum zone around the two. It was actually comparable to the deputy leader. One must know that just before, every time they collided, Yi Shiwen would be blasted away on the spot, but now, it had reached a level where they were evenly matched. This in itself was enough to prove the growth of Yi Shiwen's combat power after the breakthrough. And this was only when he had just stepped into the half-step celestial realm middle stage. The aura on his body had not yet settled, and it was already so terrifying. If this continued, it would be terrible. That deputy head finally realized that he had provoked an extraordinary monster, just like that young master. He was not stupid, but he was blinded by Yi Shiwen's wealth and couldn't see the danger. He didn't want to think about the background of a person who could have such heaven-defying fighting strength and such amazing wealth. In the end, he didn't want to think about the background of a person who could have such a heaven-defying fighting strength and such an amazing amount of wealth. But now he suddenly remembered, but it was already too late. Yi Shiwen once again chopped out with his flaming long blade. The terrifying flame aura was even stronger than before. The deputy leader once again waved his blade, but compared to the previous time when they were evenly matched, Yi Shiwen now had the upper hand. It was not that he had become weaker, but rather, Yi Shiwen had become stronger. Yi Shiwen had become stronger in just a few breaths' time. However, this was obviously far from his limit. Boom! 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 Yi Shiwen did not make any other superfluous movements. He just slashed out flaming saber aura all over the sky. He seemed to be venting the anger in his heart, constantly slashing down. The whole world was crazy, and in contrast to Yi Shiwen's movements, the deputy leader could only continue to resist passively. He could feel a terrifying aura like that of a fierce beast firmly locking onto him, making it impossible for him to escape. However, to his horror and despair, it seemed that every time Yi Shiwen slashed out a blade light, it would be a lot more tyrannical than before. In the beginning, he was still able to maintain a similar strength and level. It could be said that both sides were still in a stalemate, but as Yi Shiwen's strength continued to improve, he completely fell into a disadvantageous position, and could only be beaten passively. Whoosh! Yi Shiwen's last blade aura slashed out, shattering the world and directly bombarded the deputy leader. At this time, the deputy leader's resistance could no longer keep up with Yi Shiwen's level. Just the Jinyuan on his body had almost been consumed in this crazy all-out fight. But he was horrified to find that Yi Shiwen was like the legendary bottomless pit of a monster. He did not show the slightest sign of fatigue, as if his Jinyuan was simply inexhaustible. This was not the level of a normal human at all. Bang! His resistance was instantly broken by Yi Shiwen, and the saber aura fell on his body. His whole body was instantly blasted hundreds of miles away, and it was unknown how many meteorites were broken before he finally stopped. Puff! He spat out a mouthful of blood. At this time, he looked at Yi Shiwen as if he was looking at a monster. In the distance, Yi Shiwen's constantly rising momentum finally stopped. He seemed to be carrying out some kind of fierce struggle, and a few scales actually appeared on his face. Then, they disappeared, reappeared, and disappeared again. After going up and down a few times, Yi Shiwen finally could not bear it anymore, and looked up to the sky and roared. Roar! The terrifying roar was like that of a ferocious beast. Finally Yi Shiwen calmed down, and then looked at the deputy leader. Yi Shiwen sneered. He finally stepped into the half-step celestial realm middle stage. Although there were all kinds of twists and turns in the middle, he had now stepped into the half-step celestial realm middle stage. Just now, almost at the moment when he broke through, the star beast's bloodline suddenly emerged, but he suppressed it. You are actually not a human? At this time, the deputy leader said in horror. Of course I am a human! Yi Shiwen grinned. Then why are you? The deputy leader said incomprehensibly. You don't need to know this. As he said, Yi Shiwen suddenly stepped on the ground, and almost in an instant, his figure had disappeared into the sky, as if teleporting. When he reappeared, he was already in front of the deputy leader. Puff! A flash of blood burst out, and he was directly grabbed by Yi Shiwen on the spot, and his flesh and blood were absorbed by Tianyuan mirror. Finally stepped into the half-step celestial realm middle stage! Yi Shiwen clenched his fists, and could feel that a completely different power was boiling in his body. No wonder people said that the gap between the realms of celestial realm was absolutely a step to the sky. As he stepped into the half-step celestial realm middle stage, his combat effectiveness also had a fundamental improvement. After beheading the deputy leader, Yi Shiwen did not stay for long. After hastily plundering the wealth of many warriors present, he left the scene. Although he was a master of celestial realm, in fact, he did not have much wealth, and was far from being comparable to warriors born in big families like Ishiwen. Because of Ishiwen, as long as he showed enough innate talent, then he would be able to get vigorous training from the clan, with all kinds of resources, coupled with all kinds of fortuitous encounters. His wealth was quite considerable, but these individual warriors, they didn't have such huge resources to support them, especially after practicing to the Tianyuan realm. Almost all the resources they earned at all times had to be reserved for their own practice, so there was simply not much left, which was why they had provoked the Devil World Channel to become a demon hunter. This was not a good job. It was absolutely a job where there would be no tomorrow. No matter what level of cultivation one reached, there would always be a more tyrannical devil race than one's existence. If one was not careful, they might die tragically in the Devil World Channel. Such things happened all the time. However, with these martial artists added together, it was still better than nothing. Chaos City was located at the intersection of the Yi family and the devil race forces. The biggest difference from other cities was that this was neither a human city nor a devil city. On the contrary, this was actually a mixed city. In the huge Devil World Channel, only here was the real place where humans and devils mixed together. It was also the area where humans and devils did not care about. Whether it was the devil race or the Yi family, either of them managed this place. Or it could be said that they turned a blind eye to the existence of this place. For countless years, the human race and the devil race had been fighting on this piece of land, and blood had been shed. At that time, they had been unable to break through the obstruction of the human forces led by the Yi family. Both sides had already formed a kind of balance, and even had a tacit understanding on some matters. And this Chaos City was born under such circumstances. Both the human race and the devil race's experts came and went in this city. Although there were still fights and killings, but it was not the case in other places. At the same time, it was also the residence of many human race and devil race experts who were not satisfied with the status quo. Yishuin chose to go to Chaos City because he had taken into account that Yijin Mo was almost omnipotent in the Devil World Channel. Unless he escaped to the devil race, otherwise it would not take long for him to be discovered. In this half a month, Yishuin had been discovered several times. No matter how he disguised himself, it seemed that they always had a way to check one by one, and finally confirmed his identity. He had underestimated the general forces of Yijin Mo, who had been deeply rooted in this area for so many years. Originally, he thought that with the restraining breath technique, it would not be difficult for him to hide, but it was true that his disguise was flawless. However, they did not search like this at all. They directly looked for abnormal people in every place, and then they could quickly find out the details. And Yishuin, who had just entered the Devil World Channel, naturally had no details to investigate, so he was immediately discovered. After being discovered, a large number of experts immediately surrounded him, forcing Yishuin to run for his life. Among them, there were even experts of the third and fourth celestial realm participating in the encirclement, and Yishuin was injured several times. He did not even have time to consolidate his cultivation of half-step celestial realm intermediate stage, and could only constantly escape. Therefore, he had no other way but to choose to come to Chaos City, because this was a lawless area, and there were all kinds of people. Hiding here, he did not have to worry about being easily found again. Chapter 1431. There was no way to use the method of eliminating abnormalities to find people here, because almost everyone here had abnormalities, and none of them were easy to deal with. Normal people would not come to such a place where humans and demons mingled. Yishuin leaned against the wall and sat by the window of the restaurant. His eyes looked out of the window, and he was somewhat lost in thought. F***CK, so F***King unlucky. At this time, a burst of cursing came from the bottom floor of the restaurant. How many times has it been? F***CK, we clearly heard that there is a first sky of heaven realm demon in the vicinity, but in the end, when we went there, someone made the first move. F*ck, don't let me know who it is, otherwise, I will kill him. Boss, our speed is already very fast. Faster than us, and able to kill a heaven realm demon before us. I am afraid he is not someone to be trifled with. Accompanied by a sound of cursing, two people came up. One of them looked very young, only about 25 or 26 years old, with a somewhat fierce look on his face, and behind him was a slightly thin man about 30 years old, with a somewhat depressed look on his face at this time. What made Yishiwen really concerned was that these two people turned out to be Heaven Realm experts. Although they were both first sky of Heaven Realm experts, but the fierce murderous aura on them, they had probably killed a few Heaven Realm demons. Looking at their aura, they were clearly demon hunters. It was rare to see demon hunters here. That was because this was Chaos City. Under normal circumstances, the demon hunters who could survive here were, without exception, powerful demon hunters at the sky-human realm. Those at the celestial being realm had long been completely devoured by those enraged devils. The corner of Yishiwen's mouth slightly raised. The person they were talking about was none other than Yishiwen. For him, completing the task assigned by the clan lord was not only a limitation in terms of strength, but also a huge limitation in terms of time. Even if he had the strength to kill those Heaven Realm demons, he still needed time to find them. These all needed time, and 2 years, in the end, was still a little too tight. Forget it, anyway, there is still a next chance, there is still a long time, the man in his 30s said. You're right. I don't believe that he can kill all the demons at once. But speaking of which, it's fine for us to do something scattered, but this person has killed several celestial realm demons in a short period of time. How can the devil race let it go? I'm afraid that the operation against this person or this group of people has already been launched, the leader in his 20s said with a sneer. Yishiwen was speechless. This was also what he had already thought of. So many celestial realm devils had fallen one after another, and they did not die on the battlefield, so how could these devils ignore it? If it were the human clan, if a large number of experts were killed, it would be the same. Boss, the Heavenly Fire Chamber of Commerce sent an invitation, do you want to go? At this time, the man in his 30s asked. Get rid of your hair? F*ck, do you think your father's life isn't long enough? The man in his 20s cursed. Don't you know, that woman's invitation is simply a death warrant, it can be said that whoever goes will die. How many Heaven Realm experts have died in this period of time? If you want to die, then go, consecrate, humph, is this position so easy to sit on? Then I will help you get rid of it, the man in his 30s said. We have also not been back for a long time, boss, do you want to try to challenge the Stone of Chaos again? As long as you can make a name for yourself, you will not have to worry about not being able to get a mission. When that time comes, there will be a lot of missions waiting for us. Forget it, I am very clear about my strength. Compared to the last time, there is no obvious improvement. Although I have stepped into the Heaven Realm, it is not considered outstanding. If I want to get a good ranking, I am afraid it will be very difficult, unless I can step into the second level of Heaven Realm, then I will have a chance to stand out, the man in his 20s said. Also, in Chaos City, the true rulers of the third level of Heaven Realm, although we also have status, but in the end, it is only status. If we want to get the attention of the top 10 forces, we still need to step into the second level of Heaven Realm to attract their attention. At this time, the man in his 30s said. It turned out that there was no master of the fourth heavenly layer of Celestial Realm in this Chaos City. But thinking about it, the fourth heavenly layer of Celestial Realm could almost be regarded as the intermediate stage of Celestial Realm. Such a master, even in the army, would also have the status of a general, with high status and great power. Why bother struggling in this Chaos City? The two didn't sit for too long, they just took a short break, and then left. Yishiwen directly called the waiter. Sir, what instructions do you have? The waiter said with a respectful expression. I want to ask about this Stone of Chaos, Yishiwen said. Sir, you must be an outsider, the waiter said with certainty. Yishuin raised his eyebrows and asked, "How do you know?" "This is very simple. As long as you have lived in Chaos City for a long time, how can you not know about this stone of chaos?" the waiter said with a slight smile. Yishuin shook his head and laughed. This was also true. On the contrary, he gave himself away in the most simple place. Yishuin took out 100 spirit crystals and said, "As long as you can tell me something, this bag of spirit crystals is yours. Thank you for the reward, sir." The waiter also didn't hesitate to accept it. Speaking of this stone of chaos, it has a long history in our Chaos City. Legend has it that before our Chaos City was established, the stone of chaos already existed. The origin of this stone of chaos is too long, and no one knows about it anymore. Legend has it that it was left behind by that demon god, the waiter said cautiously. That demon god. Yishuin immediately knew who he was talking about. He had done his homework before coming here, and he also knew what the waiter was talking about. In the beginning, the devil world was defeated, and the experts of the human race chased all the way into the devil world. Wherever the army passed, the devil world retreated. Later, a demon god soared into the sky and defeated all the human army. However, he was later severely injured by the secret technique of the human race's experts, and died directly. His body turned into the current battlefield of the devil world's passage. It was precisely because his body was stained with demon blood, and his body had merged with the earth, that it had created this passage which was very difficult to destroy. If not for this, the Yi family would have destroyed the passage a long time ago. This place involved the majority of the Yi family's energy, so it was naturally the best to destroy it. If it was left behind by that demon god, then it would be really incredible. Even Yishuin was slightly moved. "Sir, have you also thought of what kind of divine treasures are contained in this stone of chaos? Many experts have come to this Chaos City for countless years, and they also want to find the divine treasures contained in this stone of chaos. Unfortunately, no one has discovered any other magical aspects of it. Over the years, it has become a place where many experts have come to test their strength. The most magical aspect of this stone of chaos is that it is thousands of feet high. However, the higher one goes, the more difficult it is to approach it. If someone can leave their name on it, then their name will instantly spread throughout the entire Chaos City, and they will become an existence that all the forces will join hands to woo," the waiter said fluently. Obviously, this wasn't the first time he had encountered such a customer. "So that's how it is. Then, you can take this bag of spirit crystals." Yishuin waved his hand and said, "There were actually such secrets inside this bag. Thank you for the reward, sir." The waiter put the spirit crystals into his spatial ring. Although many people had come to ask for information over the years, but there weren't many who were as generous as him. Don't look down on 100 spirit crystals. For Yishuin, it was nothing. But for ordinary people, it was definitely a small fortune. It couldn't be said to be a sudden fortune, but it was definitely an unexpected one. His impression of Yishuin naturally increased, and he couldn't help but say a few more words. "If Sir wants to become famous, you can try to go to the Stone of Chaos. Presumably you will be able to carve your name on it. Oh, there's one more thing that I would like to remind you, sir. If you receive an invitation from the Heavenly Fire Commerce, you must not accept it." "Why?" Yishuin was a little curious. Previously, those two had also said that accepting an invitation was courting death. Could it be that there was some secret hidden from others? Because recently, the people of the Heavenly Fire Commerce have been targeted," the waiter said. "A demon commerce has already set their eyes on the Heavenly Fire Commerce as one of the top 10 forces in Chaos City. For the past few years, they have been sniping the experts of their commerce. After a few years, the talents of the Heavenly Fire Commerce have withered, and no experts are willing to serve as their worshippers. If they go, they will either die or be injured. Now, everyone is saying that their invitation is simply an invitation from the Grim Reaper. Whoever they invite will die. Is it that exaggerated? These demons are so arrogant. Does no one care?" Yishuin said with a frown. Sir, perhaps you are still not used to the atmosphere of our Chaos City. In Chaos City, although racial justice exists, it is not the most important. What is truly important is profit. As long as there is profit, many people are willing to cooperate with the demon race, the waiter said. Yishuin couldn't help but laugh. If it wasn't like this, how could there be the existence of Chaos City? This was because it was unreasonable in itself. Chapter 1432. In this world, there were many who hated the demon race and wished to exterminate them. There were people like Ijinemo, but there were also many who would sell their hearts to the demons as long as there were enough benefits. And Chaos City itself was such an existence. It was also an existence that was tacitly acknowledged by the two races. Since it was impossible to destroy the other party in a short period of time, then a limited cooperation could also be considered. In short, if the Heavenly Fire Commerce Chamber of Commerce really does send you an invitation, it's best not to accept it. Right now, many of the Heavenly Fire Commerce Chamber's experts are either dead or injured, or have fled. It's already precarious. If you go in now, you'll undoubtedly die. The waiter said no more. For the sake of these 100 spirit crystals, he had said everything he needed to say. Since you're so good at talking, consider these 100 spirit crystals as your reward. Yishuin tossed out another 100 spirit crystals in the blink of an eye. The waiter repeatedly bowed in thanks and excused himself. This Chaos City was a bit more complicated than he had imagined. But in the blink of an eye, he had forgotten about the matter of the Heavenly Fire Commerce Chamber. He had no intention of meddling in the affairs of the natives of this city. But that stone of chaos was quite interesting. That's right, he was indeed tempted. This was a clue related to the ancient demon god. Even though countless people had explored it for countless years, they had not been able to find even the slightest trace of it. But he was still unwilling, extremely unwilling. There were only 2 years left. If he did not encounter some fortuitous encounter, then it would be an impossible task to advance by leaps and bounds within these 2 years. He had to at least step into the celestial realm in 2 years to have a chance of killing a celestial realm existence. Although there were definitely some shortcuts, and he could even use up all the wealth he had on him to put up a bounty to hunt down a demon in the 4th level of the heaven realm, he did not care to do so. If he could not even reach the 4th level of the heaven realm, then how would he be able to compete with the many geniuses in the royal court struggle? It would only be a joke. So, time was the most precious thing to him. Yishuin didn't hesitate any longer as he thought of this. He flew straight towards the chaos stones in the center of the city. This chaos city was thousands of feet high. In other words, it was a few thousand meters high. It was an incredible existence even if it was placed in a place like Earth where there were many high-rise buildings. It was only possible to achieve such a feat in this mythical world. Chaos City itself was born from these chaos stones. Although this place was near the center of the city, there were not many people around, because within the radius of the stone of chaos, there was a terrifying pressure. Ordinary people would not be able to get close to it, and would be sent flying on the spot. Only the top experts of the celestial realm could get close to it. Someone's coming again? Could it be another fool who wants to find the demon god's divine treasury from the chaos stones? I think so too. Aren't there idiots like this coming every day? Haha, when the time comes, I'll see his disappointed eyes like an idiot. Many people around were staring at the chaos stones. At this time, when they saw Yishuin's figure, they couldn't help but show a somewhat mocking expression. Not long ago, they were also one of these people. They failed to find it. Some people spent decades or even hundreds of years for it, but there was no harvest. Now, they were directly mocking others as people who had experienced it. Yishuin just got within the range of 10 miles of the chaos stones, and he felt an amazing pressure crushing down on him. The deeper he went, the greater the pressure. As the waiter said, this was not a place that ordinary people could get close to. Half-step celestial realm experts were just qualified to get close to it. Only celestial realm experts could rush to the front of the Chaos Stones. Yishuan felt the pressure on his body, but he didn't care about it. He directly rushed to the center of the Chaos Stones in one fell swoop. The terrifying pressure shrouded his body, and the bones in his body creaked. That was the sound caused by the collision. It was very terrifying. But at this time, Yishuan didn't care at all. His bones and flesh seemed to be squashed. When people in the distance saw this scene, they were almost scared to death. This pressure is tyrannical and terrifying. Even celestial realm experts have to circulate their power to resist it. Half-step celestial realm experts have to constantly blast all kinds of martial arts to resist it. This person actually walked to the center of the Chaos Stones with just his body. How strong is his body? Is he a monster? Or is he not human at all? Even in the demon race, such as the Great Azura clan, who have invincible bodies, didn't there also experts who came to try? But no one could walk to the center of the Chaos Stones. Oh my God, is there going to be another existence who can leave his name on the Chaos Stones? At this time, Yishuan had already arrived in front of the Chaos Stones. The terrifying pressure continued to fall. Yishuan didn't even raise any defense. He could only rely on his powerful body to resist it. He looked up and saw that the top of the Stone of Chaos was densely covered with names. They were the names carved by the experts who had come here for tens of thousands of years. There were human names and demon characters. Behind each demon character represented the name of a devil race expert. Many of them were famous existences even in the entire devil race channel. Among them, there was an old acquaintance of Yishuan, Yizhenemo. His position was very close to the front. He was almost in the top few. It could be seen that Yizhenemo was very capable. However, the more tyrannical Yizhenemo was, the more it wasn't a good thing for Yishuan. Yizhenemo was shameless enough to bully the weak. He would personally deal with Yishuan. He wouldn't give Yishuan any time to grow. Once he determined that Yishuan was an enemy, he would go all out to kill him. Yishuan sat down cross-legged, and carefully felt this coercion. There was indeed a bit of demon energy in it. It was similar to the coercion of the demon god. This Chaos Stone was indeed somewhat related to the demon god. However, the specific relationship had long been covered in the long river of history after so many years. Perhaps even the Yi clan didn't know the mystery. Otherwise, they would have taken away the Chaos Stones. The other mystical aspect of the Stone of Chaos was that no matter how powerful a person was, they would not be able to take the Stone of Chaos away. It was like a stabilizing needle that was firmly fixed in place. So far, no one had been able to decipher the mystery of this Chaos Stone. This in itself was abnormal. Thump! 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 Vaguely, Yishuan seemed to hear the sound of a heartbeat. However, it was only an illusion for a moment. Then, he couldn't hear anything. Yishuan sat in front of the Chaos Stone for 10 days and 10 nights. However, he still couldn't feel the mystery of this Chaos Stone. Finally, he could only dejectedly get up like all the other experts who had come to the Chaos Stone. However, no one dared to underestimate him at this time. He could walk to the Chaos Stone just by relying on his physical body. This wasn't something that an ordinary person could do. Even a celestial realm expert couldn't do it. He certainly wasn't an ordinary powerhouse. His physical body alone was enough to shock the world. Such a powerhouse was enough to shake the entire Chaos City even if he didn't engrave his name on the Chaos Stone. Indeed, in the 10 days that Yishuan sat in front of the Chaos Stone, more and more people came to watch. No one had ever seen a top-notch expert who could achieve such a feat just by relying on his physical body. A master and a servant were hidden in the crowd. The master was a woman who looked to be in her 20s. She had fair skin and a beautiful appearance. At this moment, there was an anxious expression on her face. Behind her was an old servant. His skin was withered, and he looked extremely old. "Uncle Lin, do you think this person will accept our invitation?" the young woman asked. The old servant behind her had a bitter smile on his face. How many people in Chaos City don't see our Skyfire Chamber of Commerce's invitation as an invitation to their deaths? That's true. The beautiful woman couldn't help but agree. Things were just as the old servant had said. The experts of Chaos City were now avoiding the Skyfire Chamber of Commerce like the plague. Those who had dared to accept their invitation had already been killed by the demon race. But no matter what, I have to invite him to our Chamber of Commerce as a sinecure. Otherwise, there isn't much time left before the fringe opens. This is the last chance to cure my father. If I don't seize this chance, I'm afraid my father will be poisoned to death. The young woman's eyes were filled with determination as she said this. The old servant sighed with emotion. It was him. They already had no other way out. There was no other way out. If they want the title of the 10 major powers, then let them take it. But this time, our Skyfire Chamber of Commerce must obtain a spot in the fringe. No matter how difficult it is, we must hold on to this spot. The beautiful woman said through clenched teeth. Young miss, it's all this old servant's fault. If not for this old servant's incompetence, the president wouldn't have had to fight that demon alone and be gravely injured in the end. The old servant murmured. Uncle Lin, you've done enough for our family. This is truly fate. Father was once gravely injured when he was young. Even with our family's precious art, he still couldn't break through to the 3rd heavenly layer of the Sky Man realm. Being ranked as one of the 10 major powers without any top-notch experts is a path to disaster in itself. The beautiful woman said with an open mind. The best thing we can do now is to enter a period of dormancy. If one day, I can step into the 3rd heavenly layer of the Sky Man realm, the Skyfire Chamber of Commerce will rise again. It's a pity that Father's injuries can only be healed with the treasure of heaven and earth in the fringe. Otherwise, we wouldn't have to fight that demon head-on. Chapter 1433. The old servant, Uncle Lin, looked at the young lady in front of him and sighed. This young lady was extremely talented. She had already entered the heaven realm at such a young age. Even compared to the elite experts of the neighboring Yi family's younger generation, it was a pity that the Heavenly Fire Merchant Guild was rich and powerful. How could it compare to the Yi family? Even so, he believed that it was only a matter of time before the young lady entered the 3rd level of Heaven Realm. She might even have the chance to peek into the General Lord Realm's 4th level of Heaven Realm. There was a huge threshold between the 3rd and 4th heaven of the Heaven Realm. Most of the Heaven Realm experts would be stuck at this threshold. In the Heaven Realm, every step was like reaching the heavens, and the 3 realms were like a natural chasm. Although the warriors below the 4th level of the Celestial Realm could dominate in front of the Law Manifestation Realm and Transcendent Realm, they could only be regarded as passers-by in the Celestial Realm. The warriors who reached the 4th level of the Celestial Realm were famous figures. After reaching the 7th level of the Celestial Realm, there was another huge threshold. Those who could cross it could truly become a big figure in the Celestial Realm. Such great figures were extremely rare even in the primordial era, and such figures were usually the ultimate treasures of the various great powers. They were the antiques amongst antiques, and some were terrifying existences that ordinary people might not have the chance to see in their entire lifetimes. They could already be considered as the pinnacle experts of the ancient Barons continent, the true ruling class. The city lords of many of the Yi family's satellite cities were all experts at the 4th layer of the Heaven Realm or above. If the young miss could break through to the 4th layer of the Heaven Realm, then it wouldn't be impossible for her to lead Discord City, let alone a mere top 10. Unfortunately, all of this required time. Currently, the Heavenly Fire Merchant Guild was at its weakest. They should be hiding, but due to their president's injuries, they had no choice but to confront that arrogant demon head-on. Unfortunately, all of this required time. What they lacked the most now was time. This might be their last chance. The opening of the Land of Chaos was getting closer and closer. They couldn't afford to look for more powerful experts. Uncle Lin, we don't have many chances left. I have a premonition that if we miss him, we won't have another chance, the beautiful woman said firmly. On the other side, Yi Shiwen naturally didn't know that he had been targeted. He walked out of the range of the Stone of Chaos with an expressionless face. He sat there for 10 days, but didn't find any useful information. He couldn't help but feel a little depressed. Sure enough, he was not someone with heaven-defying luck. He could even trip over treasures while walking. If he wanted to break through in a short period of time, it seemed like he had to find another way. Thinking of this, he did not stay for long and immediately returned to the inn where he was staying. At this time, Chaos City suddenly became lively because of Yi Shiwen's existence, and it was boiling over. The matter of Yi Shiwen breaking into the Stone of Chaos suddenly made all the powerhouses in the Stone of Chaos raise their eyebrows. It wasn't that this matter was sensational. In fact, it wouldn't be a big deal even if Yi Shiwen carved his name on the Stone of Chaos under normal circumstances. After all, how many people had carved their names on the Stone of Chaos over the years? In fact, it wasn't clear how many people had carved their names. But what really surprised everyone was that Yi Shiwen had simply rushed to the front of the Stone of Chaos by relying on his tyrannical body. This was undoubtedly a real shock to them. Many Celestial Realm experts couldn't do this. For a time, all kinds of rumors about Yi Shiwen were prevalent. Some said that he had a certain kind of mutated physique of the human race, the supreme treasure physique. What Titan body, what invincible Vajra body, what body of rock, all sorts of powerful physical bodies were guessed. There were also rumors that he was not a human at all, but a demon. Moreover, he belonged to a clan of extremely tyrannical body in the demon race, such as the Great Azura clan, the Great Demon clan, and so on. In this Chaos City, the human race and the demon race lived together, so it was not strange for any kind of person to appear. And more people thought that they were just guessing blindly. This kind of genius, whether it was the human race or the demon race, was a supreme genius. How could they not have heard of such a person coming to the demon realm passage? Whether it was the demon race or the human race, he would be the most dazzling existence. How could no one know about him? Under such circumstances, what was originally a trivial matter suddenly became a big deal in the city, and everyone knew about it. And in a restaurant, 3 tyrannical figures were sitting on the seats. Their auras were incomparably restrained, and at the same time, they were incomparably terrifying. If Yi Shiwen was present, he would probably be able to see that these 3 people were almost not inferior to old demon fish and the others whom he had seen before. They were at the peak of the 6th level of Celestial Realm. These 3 people all looked somewhat similar, and their ferocious auras soared into the sky. It was very terrifying. And among these 3 people, the oldest one said, "Second brother, third brother, do you think that this is the little bastard that the master sent a message saying that we must kill?" "It is possible," the third brother of the 3 said. "Whether it is or not, we should catch him first. It is better to kill 1,000 than to let one go. According to the master, this little bastard is extraordinarily talented, and also has the support of the Law Enforcement Hall. In the future, his achievements will be limitless. In the future, when he grows up, he will certainly become a great enemy of our demon suppression city. Don't be reckless. Don't forget, what is the real purpose of our coming here? Now that the Imperial Court struggle is about to begin, we have come under the Master's order to hunt that thing for Yi Kuang. As long as we obtain that thing, Yi Kuang will be able to step into the 6th level of Celestial Realm. At that time, no one will be able to shake his position as the hegemon of the Central Heavens. Even the 4 hegemons of the North, South, East, and West will not be his opponent," the second brother of the 3 said. "Not only that, even in the Imperial Court struggle, he will be able to stand out, and there is hope for him to enter the top 10, the third brother said. The third brother said, "Junior brother Yi Kuang is the most talented among us, and is also the most likely to inherit Master's legacy in the future. That's why we have to support junior brother Yi Kuang at all costs. If junior brother Yi Kuang can become the patriarch, then we will naturally rise with the clan's focus on nurturing. At that time, we will be able to improve even further, and even reach the 7th level of the Heaven Realm. The three of them were very clear that in the celestial realm, every step was like reaching the heavens. The three levels were like a chasm. Although they had successfully crossed the threshold of the fourth level of celestial realm, if they didn't have a fortuitous encounter, they would probably be stuck at the sixth level of celestial realm for the rest of their lives. Although they called Yi Kuang junior brother, they were actually older than Yi Kuang by a few thousand years. Basically, their potential had been exhausted. Without a fortuitous encounter, it would be hard for them to improve even an inch in their lives. Therefore, their only way was to support Yi Kuang's ascension. That way, through the clan's resources, they would still have the chance to step into the seventh level of celestial realm, breaking through this awkward realm in one go, and become a huge figure in the Yi clan, or even the entire ancient Barrens continent. This was the treatment that the top prodigies of the large clans and forces enjoyed. Countless people were fighting for their rise, and they didn't hesitate to be a stepping stone. Some people were born to be geniuses. As for others, they existed to serve as a foil to them. Therefore, all the more we cannot act rashly. Everything we do might alarm the natives in Chaos City. If something goes wrong, who will be responsible for it? The eldest brother finally opened his mouth and said firmly, "This matter is not urgent. As long as that little bastard is still in this demon realm channel, we will be able to find him sooner or later. Have you forgotten the goals that the clan head has set for him? Not to mention the others, just the fourth level of celestial realm demon alone. With his current cultivation, he can forget about it even if we give him another 200 years. We are all experienced people, so we should be very clear about the difference between the fourth level of celestial realm and the third level of celestial realm. We have all been through it, so we should be very clear about it. We have time to slowly find him. With the power of our demon-suppressing city, it is only a matter of time before we find him." Speaking of this, the faces of the three of them flashed with a fierce light. At the same time, Yishuan returned to the inn where he was staying. He had also heard all kinds of rumors about him in the city. He originally did not want to be in the limelight. He was very clear that the demon-suppressing city's power was extremely huge. If he were to act rashly, even in Chaos City they might have spies. Therefore, he did not go to carve his name. Firstly, he wanted to keep a low profile. Secondly, even if he did carve it, it was impossible to carve his real name. That would be meaningless. Who knew? He had forgotten that he had rushed into the Stone of Chaos with his physical body, which was already eye-catching enough. In this way, he had instantly caused a sensation in Chaos City. After thinking about this, he could not help but feel a little depressed. Did he have to start fleeing again? He had already made preparations. As long as he was discovered, he would immediately escape without any hesitation. Because the masters sent by the demon-suppressing city were becoming more and more tyrannical. Once he was discovered, it was impossible to defeat them, so he could only escape. Fortunately, he had demon wings. Otherwise, he would really not be able to escape, just like a turtle in a jar. And at this time, the voice of the inn's waiter came from outside. "Dear customer, there are 2 guests outside who said they want to visit you." "I don't know." "Guests?" Yi Shiwen was a little puzzled. At this time, where would the guests come from? He did not know anyone in this Chaos City, so where would the guests come from? But since they said they were here to visit, they were certainly not from the demon-suppressing city. Thinking of this, he could not help but say, "Then let them in." Soon, 2 figures came in, a man and a woman. One was a young and beautiful woman in her 20s, and the other was an abnormally thin old servant. What really caught Yishuan's attention was that both of them were actually in the celestial realm. Chapter 1434. Chaos City couldn't be considered a very powerful city. The strongest experts there were only at the 3rd level of Celestial Realm. There wasn't even a single 4th level Celestial Realm expert. The proportion of Celestial Realm experts in the population was also very small. It was a bit unexpected to run into a few Celestial Realm experts in this period of time. He could see that this beautiful woman had just stepped into the celestial realm not long ago. Her breath wasn't stable enough. As for the old servant, although he had stepped into the celestial realm for a long time, he could tell at a glance that he was very weak. This was a sign of serious injury. This injury was only forcibly suppressed by his tyrannical cultivation. "You too are?" Yi Shiwen asked curiously. "I am the daughter of the president of the Heavenly Fire Chamber of Commerce, Li Hongxiu," the beautiful woman said with a bow. Heavenly Fire Chamber of Commerce. Yi Shiwen suddenly felt that this name was very familiar. But very quickly, he realized that the Heavenly Fire Chamber of Commerce was the one the waiter had warned him to be careful of. It seemed to be that Chamber of Commerce that had gotten into big trouble. It was said that the Heavenly Fire Chamber of Commerce's invitation was equivalent to a direct train ticket to hell. But now there were actually people delivering goods to his doorstep. They had to die. The beautiful woman, Li Hongxiu, saw Yi Shiwen's expression. Sure enough, as long as one entered Chaos City, there would be no one who hadn't heard of the Heavenly Fire Chamber of Commerce. There were a few idiots who didn't know and were tricked into becoming worshippers. Now their corpses had been cold for a long time. Who would dare to believe their nonsense now? But he still decided to sign up first. No matter what, if there was no sincerity at all, when Yi Shiwen found out the truth, he was afraid that he wouldn't have a good expression. Yi Shiwen shook his head and said, "I already know why Miss Li is here, but I really have no interest in getting involved in your affairs. Please save our Heavenly Fire Chamber of Commerce, sir." Li Hongxiu immediately knelt down without any hesitation. The old servant behind her also knelt down. Yi Shiwen was indifferent. His heart was already like a boulder. From the beginning, he wanted to keep a low profile. Only by keeping a low profile could he gain more time for cultivation. Only then would he have the opportunity to truly grow and finally leave this place. To him, this was a cage where he could lose his life at any time. "Miss Li, it's not that I don't want to make a move, but I also know that your Chaos City's 10 major powers all have experts of the third heaven of heaven realm holding the fort. Although I have some methods, I'm absolutely not a match for an expert of the third heaven of heaven realm," Yi Shiwen said. He still had self-awareness. Being able to escape unscathed from a third sky of heaven realm master was already his limit. Could he still hope to defeat a third sky of heaven realm master? "If that's the case, don't worry, mister. Although the Demon Flame Chamber of Commerce is stronger than us, their president is only a blood kindred at the second level of the heaven realm," Li Hongxiu hurriedly said. "Even so, I can't risk my life for you." Yi Shiwen shook his head and said, "Even if the other party was just a vampire of the second heavenly layer of heaven realm, he would not risk his life for them for no reason. Although the blood kindred was relatively low-key among the 8 demon royal clans, they were definitely not a clan to be trifled with. Moreover, they lived by sucking blood and were cruel and terrifying. They were not a good opponent. "Mister, please save our Heavenly Fire Chamber of Commerce this once. As long as you are willing to help, we are willing to offer an amethyst glazed fruit." Li Hongxiu gritted her teeth and said their biggest trump card. Amethyst glazed fruit. Although Yi Shiwen had never seen it before, it did not mean that he did not know. He was no longer the ignorant person he had been before. The purple crystal glazed fruit was rumored to be a natural treasure that only grew in some extreme environments. Once someone swallowed it, even a heaven-tier expert would be able to instantly step into the peak of their current tier, and there was even a certain chance that they could directly break through to the next tier. If it was some other kind of exotic heavenly treasure, then Yi Shiwen wouldn't even bother to look at it. However, it was this kind of heavenly treasure. In fact, this was the kind of heavenly treasure that Yi Shiwen needed the most at present. The reason was very simple. It was because he needed time. And time was what Yi Shiwen needed the most right now. And this kind of treasure that could quickly improve his cultivation could save a lot of time for Yi Shiwen, just like the desolate blood holy fruit that he still had left. These were the most precious treasures because in this world, true strength was the most important of all. Therefore, the treasures that could improve one's cultivation were the most precious things. Yi Shiwen was a little hesitant and a little shaken. At this time, Li Hongxiu continued to say, I know that Mr. seems to be looking for the way to break the stone of chaos. Why, you know? Yi Shiwen raised his eyebrows and did not quite believe it. I don't know, but I know that this stone of chaos should have a certain relationship with the stone of chaos. Li Hongxiu said. The land of chaos, what is that place? As Li Hongxiu expected, Yi Shiwen was a little interested. He sat in front of the stone of chaos for 10 days and 10 nights, but he did not get anything. This made him a little depressed. At this time, when he heard that there was a new clue, he could not help but be a little curious. It's in a special space inside the stone of chaos. Rumor has it that the stone of chaos is actually a celestial device of the demon god. It's just that no one has been able to take it away. The land of chaos is a space inside the stone of chaos. If you want to explore the mystery of the stone of chaos, I think that the land of chaos might be your chance, Li Hongxiu said while gritting her teeth. Yi Shiwen understood this. Some powerful instruments seemed to have their own independent space, just like Tianyuan mirror, which had its own space that could grow at any time. Why? Does this have anything to do with you? Yi Shiwen asked in a somewhat strange manner. Yes, in fact, there are a total of 10 keys to the land of chaos, and each of our 10 major forces holds one key. Other people can only enter the land of chaos through the keys held by the 10 major forces. So, as long as Mr. is willing to help us, you will be able to freely enter and exit the land of chaos. You will certainly be able to reap some harvest at that time. Even if you can't find the method to control the stone of chaos, there are still many good things in the land of chaos that can give Mr. a lot of benefits. Li Hongxiu tried to induce Yi Shiwen. She did not purely sell a favor or gain sympathy. She directly used benefits to induce Yi Shiwen. She didn't say anything else. She only said that it was a matter of benefits. Helping them in this matter was equivalent to helping Yi Shiwen. It was a matter of mutual benefit. Yi Shiwen's contribution wasn't one-sided. Yi Shiwen had to admit that this matter was indeed very attractive, especially the purple crystal glazed fruit. It was a good thing that could save him many years of bitter cultivation. However, he was somewhat hesitant to expose himself in front of others for this. At this time, a loud noise came from outside the door. I say, dear demon guests, it's not good to barge in like this. The waiter's voice came from outside, followed by a rude voice. Get lost! We have never needed anyone's permission to enter. Then there was a burst of chaotic footsteps, and the door of Yi Shiwen's room was directly kicked open on the spot. Several great demons walked in and looked around like tigers. Then they saw Li Hongxiu kneeling on the ground. Their faces immediately revealed a somewhat sinister expression. It's you again, you whore. Why do you want to invite someone to be your offering? What's the matter? Do you have anything that your heavenly fire chamber of commerce can give to others? Don't tell me you plan to devote yourself to them? Ha! The great demon who was the leader of the group immediately laughed wildly. He didn't put Yi Shiwen in his eyes at all. Perhaps he didn't think anything of Yi Shiwen at all. The great demons behind him also laughed one after another. You! Li Hongxiu was furious on the spot. But at this time, she seemed to have thought of something and didn't attack. She just clenched her teeth and glared at the great demon. Let me tell you, you stinking whore, and you old bastard! Hurry up and declare that you are withdrawing from the ranks of the top 10 forces. Hand over the key to the fringe and you won't have to suffer like this. Otherwise, we will torture you until you beg for death. The great demon leader sneered and continued to hurl malicious words at Yi Shiwen. He simply didn't put Yi Shiwen in his eyes. Then he looked at Yi Shiwen and said coldly, And you, human, I think you still don't understand the situation. In the whole of Chaos City, how many people dare to offend our demon flame chamber of commerce? Now that the heavenly fire chamber of commerce is on the decline, I advise you to open your dog eyes wide. Don't become a ghost under my blade. Let me tell you, during this period of time, I have seen many righteous people. Now, all of them have become ghosts under my blade. What, do you want to do the same? Yishuan's expression became colder and colder. He said coldly, "What if I insist on meddling in this matter?" "So what?" Hearing Yishuan's words, Li Hongxiu and the old servant, Uncle Lin, were suddenly surprised and happy. Originally, no matter what they said, Yishuan remained unmoved. But now, because of these devils' coercion, Yishuan was obviously annoyed and wanted to meddle in this matter. "If you want to meddle in this matter, then let's see if you have the life to walk out of Chaos City," the demon leader said with a sneer. "I don't believe that I can't meddle in this matter today." Yishuan couldn't help but sneer. "Go back and tell that vampire president of yours that I will meddle in this matter. Tell him to scram as far away as possible, or else he will die." Chapter 1435. "What did you say?" The great demon commander looked at Yishuan in disbelief. He couldn't believe that things had turned out this way. He thought that he would just have to threaten Yishuan, and he would leave out of fear. After all, he wasn't the first person to join the Heavenly Fire Chamber of Commerce. He must have heard about the fate of the previous few, but in the end, things had turned out this way. "Outsider, you better think carefully. This is Chaos City. I don't care where you came from, but if you provoke me, I will make you die miserably," the great demon commander threatened coldly. "Get out of here before I have the intention to kill you," Yishuan said coldly. "You're courting death." The great demon commander moved in an instant. He opened his terrifying demon claws and instantly pounced in front of Yishuan. His speed was extremely fast, and he directly broke through the space. His first move was to kill Yishuan without a burial place. And just when that demon claw was about to grab Yishuan's body, Yishuan moved fiercely. The entire time seemed to have come to a standstill. That terrifying devil's claw stopped 3 inches away from Yishuan. One could only see Yishuan's hand stretching out and directly slapping towards the face of that great devil commander. Swish! In just a moment, time seemed to move again. But when everyone came back to their senses, they heard a loud rumble. A huge hole was blasted in the wall of the entire restaurant. And Yishuan and the great demon commander who were originally in their positions also disappeared. Everyone quickly swept over with their divine senses, only to see that the great demon commander was directly pressed into the ground by Yishuan's slap. The entire ground was completely cracked. His head was pressed into the ground, but his body was still outside. During the whole process, he actually didn't have the slightest bit of resistance, or in other words, he had no way to resist at all. Yishuan's speed was too fast, so fast that they couldn't even react. In particular, Li Hongxiu and that old servant, Uncle Lin, were a little dumbfounded. They were both top celestial realm experts, but they seemed to only see Yishuan's move just now. More specifically, they didn't see anything else. To them, this was something unimaginable. With every breakthrough in cultivation realm, a martial artist's body would undergo a huge improvement. At the level of the heaven tier, even if one was not a speed-type martial artist, his speed would not be much slower. That was especially true after reaching the sky-human stage, where one would be able to fuse with the heavenly Tao of the void. Even if they could not see it, they would still be able to sense its fluctuations. But now, they were actually unable to sense it at all. One could only imagine just how fast it was. It was unimaginable. However, the two of them were ecstatic despite their shock. Yishuan had such strength. At the very least, he had the capital to contend against the president of the Blood Clan. This showed that they had not found the wrong person. If he was just an ordinary celestial realm expert, only death would have been waiting for him. The smoke and dust dispersed, and Yishuan's figure was revealed. A long blade had appeared in his hand, and he directly threw the great devil commander into Tianyuan Mirror. He then killed the great devil commander and beheaded him. Another goal was achieved. He was one step closer to leaving this place. No, it should be said that he was one step closer to the struggle for the imperial court. On the street, many tyrannical divine senses swept over. How could such a sudden commotion not attract the attention of people at all? Yi Shiwen slowly flew back to the top of the inn. Those experts of devil race looked at Yi Shiwen in horror. You! They didn't expect that their commander would be so easily killed by Yi Shiwen. One must know that there weren't many Celestial Realm experts even in Chaos City. Even the top 10 forces only had a few, and the strongest among them were only a dozen. Compared to the millions of people in Chaos City, there weren't many Celestial Realm experts. Moreover, the experts and elites of the human race and devil race were gathered here. In almost an instant, their commander was killed without even being able to resist. Go back and tell that president of the Blood Clan that he can either get lost or die, Yi Shiwen said coldly. He was originally hesitant, unsure whether he should help the Sky Fire Chamber of Commerce or not, but this great devil commander had thoroughly enraged him. Since he had decided to help the Sky Fire Chamber of Commerce, there was nothing else to say. He would do his best. You will regret this! These demons were completely scared out of their wits by Yi Shiwen. If he could easily kill their commander, wouldn't killing them be as easy as lifting a finger? He could only leave behind this ruthless sentence and scramble away. Sir, thank you for saving us. Li Hongxiu bowed twice. Although Celestial Realm experts had their own pride and self-esteem and were not ordinary beings, Yi Shiwen's action was equivalent to saving their heavenly fire chamber of commerce. No matter how grateful he was, it would not be too much. No need to thank me. We are just mutually benefiting each other, Yi Shiwen said with a wave of his hand. May I ask for your name, sir? At this time, Li Hongxiu remembered that he had to ask for Yi Shiwen's name not because the Sky Fire Chamber of Commerce was not powerful enough, but because Yi Shiwen had never mentioned his name, so no one knew. My surname is Wen. Yi Shiwen thought for a moment, but decided not to reveal his real name. If it was revealed, he would have no other choice but to escape again. So it's Mr. Wen. Now that the Demon Flame Chamber of Commerce has their eyes on this place, and it's already damaged, please come to our Sky Fire Chamber of Commerce. As for the compensation, our people will naturally take care of it. Li Hongxiu also put forward a request for Yi Shiwen to go to the Sky Fire Chamber of Commerce. Yi Shiwen thought for a moment and did not refuse. He would have to go there sooner or later anyway. Yi Shiwen did not hesitate and immediately followed Li Hongxiu to the Sky Fire Chamber of Commerce. The news of Yi Shiwen killing a demon commander of the Demon Flame Chamber of Commerce quickly spread throughout Chaos City. Moreover, it quickly spread because Yi Shiwen was originally a celebrity. Previously, he had relied on his physical body to easily step into the range of the Stone of Chaos. This had already made him an influential figure in the entire Chaos City, because even Celestial Realm experts could not do this. While many people were still trying to figure out his identity and background, he once again caused such a commotion, attracting everyone's attention. As for the grievances between the Sky Fire Chamber of Commerce and the Demon Flame Chamber of Commerce, as long as one stayed in Chaos City even a little longer, there was almost no one who did not know. Originally, the Sky Fire Chamber of Commerce had always been one of the top 10 forces in Chaos City, and there were many experts among them. The president was even an expert of the Third Celestial Realm, one of the top experts in Chaos City. But this generation's president unexpectedly only had a cultivation of the Second Celestial Realm. Therefore, ever since this generation's president took over the Sky Fire Chamber of Commerce, the Sky Fire Chamber of Commerce had been in a precarious situation. One had to know that in Chaos City, the only rule and iron law was that whoever had the bigger fist was king. This kind of naked law of the jungle caused Chaos City to always be in a relatively chaotic situation. Although a second Celestial Realm expert could be said to be one of the top experts apart from a select few, he was still not a transcendent Third Celestial Realm expert, after all. There were many forces that had the strength to contend with him. In this world, in the end, only the strength of the strong could decide everything. In the absence of a top expert, the Sky Fire Chamber of Commerce's decline could be said to be unavoidable. Moreover, several other merchant forces had joined forces to launch an offensive against the Sky Fire Chamber of Commerce. Aside from the fact that they were one of the top 10 forces and had the power of the pandemonium in their hands, almost no one really cared about them anymore. Thus, the Demon Flame Chamber of Commerce soared into the world and began to snipe at the Sky Fire Chamber of Commerce's various businesses. Their worshippers were also eliminated one by one, to the point that the president had no choice but to personally take action. However, the result was that the president of the Demon Flame Chamber of Commerce was easily defeated and heavily injured. Although they were both at the peak of the second celestial realm, the president of the Demon Flame Chamber of Commerce was clearly stronger. Without the president's protection, the Sky Fire Chamber of Commerce was in an even more precarious situation. At this time, Li Hongxiu also went everywhere to invite experts to oversee the Sky Fire Chamber of Commerce. In the beginning, they relied on their many years of reputation to invite some experts, but to no avail. In the end, they were all killed one by one. Soon, the Sky Fire Chamber of Commerce was like a stray dog. Everyone avoided them, and their invitations were also rumored to be the express ticket to hell. Under these circumstances, Yishiwen actually dared to accept the Sky Fire Chamber of Commerce's invitation. How could this not raise eyebrows? Most importantly, Yishiwen had killed one of the Demon Flame Chamber of Commerce's worshippers in front of everyone's eyes. A celestial realm expert had died at Yishiwen's hands. This was enough to hurt the Demon Flame Chamber of Commerce to the bone. Thinking of this, everyone couldn't help but look at the Demon Flame Chamber of Commerce. During this period of time, the Demon Flame Chamber of Commerce had been arrogant and despotic, trying to force the Sky Fire Chamber of Commerce into a dead end. Now that they were publicly slapped in the face, how would the vampire president react? Moreover, this Mr. Wen obviously wasn't someone with a good temper. The clash between these two groups would probably be the hottest thing in Chaos City in the near future. Chapter 1436. For a moment, the entire Discord City's attention was focused on the Heavenly Fire Chamber of Commerce and the Devil Flame Chamber of Commerce. The Heavenly Fire Chamber of Commerce, which was thought to be on the decline, had now recruited such a powerful expert to assist them. Everything had become complicated and confusing. Everyone was looking at the Devil Flame Chamber of Commerce to see how they would respond. Yishiwen was sitting on the railing of an attic, his back leaning against the vermilion pillar. He didn't know what material the pillar was made of, but when he neared it, he could start circulating the Jinyuan within his body. After arriving at the Heavenly Fire Chamber of Commerce, Yishiwen was arranged to rest in the best attic, waiting for the opening of the land of Bedlam. That day was not too far away. However, there was one person that couldn't be bypassed in order to go to the land of Bedlam, and that was the president of the Devil Flame Chamber of Commerce. In fact, the president of the Devil Flame Chamber of Commerce was also coveting the key to the land of Bedlam. Otherwise, the Heavenly Fire Chamber of Commerce wouldn't have been forced to give up their position as one of the top 10 powers. The title of the top 10 powers was just a title that not many people really cared about. However, the key to the land of Bedlam was something that everyone wanted. Without the key, it meant being controlled by someone else, and one couldn't even freely enter or leave the land of Bedlam. This was intolerable for any major power. In the past, when the Heavenly Fire Chamber of Commerce was still at its peak, it had a third heavenly layer celestial realm expert overseeing it. No one dared to touch it. But now, its president was merely a second heavenly layer celestial realm expert. Therefore, many second-class powers had come knocking on its door, and the Devil Flame Chamber of Commerce was only one of the most powerful. After all, the Heavenly Fire Chamber of Commerce had been a tyrant in Discord City for many years, occupying a vast area. Especially in this environment where every inch of land was worth its weight in gold, it had developed a solid foundation. This was also the reason why it hadn't collapsed after being suppressed for so long. Boom! An extremely terrifying explosion came from not far away, setting off a frightening wave of air that rolled up countless clouds of dust. The sky and earth changed color, and a terrifying pressure instantly enveloped the sky above the heavenly fire chamber of commerce. Endless demonic energy began to spread, mixed with a thick smell of blood. Yi Shiwen's collar was fluttering in the wind. He squinted his eyes, and with his keen eyesight, he almost instantly saw a slender figure walking in from the entrance of the heavenly fire chamber of commerce. He was as elegant as a nobleman, and in his hand was a guard of the heavenly fire chamber of commerce. A half-step celestial realm guard was caught in his hand like a little chick. Sinbai's sharp teeth sank into his neck, and in a short while, the guard was sucked clean. What he sucked was not blood, but the essence of the whole body. The guard had been sucked dry, and the corpse was thrown to the side. Wiping the blood from the side of his mouth, a sinister smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. That smile was as if he was looking at a dead man. The surrounding people of the heavenly fire chamber of commerce did not dare to approach, and only dared to watch from afar. Even further away were some customers who came to the heavenly fire chamber of commerce to buy things. However, due to the heavenly fire chamber of commerce's recent decline, very few people chose to come here to buy things. But at this time, many people could not help but shudder at the sight of this blood clan. Even among the demons, there were many who were rather fearful of the elusive blood clan who called themselves the nobles of the night. Especially when they saw them sucking people clean, that was more terrifying than anything else. And this blood clan did not care, but the smile on his face grew more and more sinister. He slowly walked in, as if he was patrolling his own territory. "Ancestor Shui, what are you doing here?" At this time, Li Hongxiu's rebuke was heard. "TSK, don't you know? You're asking even though you already know the answer? Originally, I did not bother with you for the sake of your father. Who knew that you would want a foot after being given an inch? Then don't blame me for starting a massacre today. It just so happens that I haven't drunk the fresh blood of a virgin in the celestial realm. It will definitely make me feel good, ha ha ha." The blood clan laughed even more insolently. "If you take another step, then don't blame us for being impolite," Li Hongxiu shouted. "I'd like to see how impolite you can be. What about the person who killed my subordinates? TSK, his blood must be good, very delicious. I'll definitely develop him into my puppet and then fight for me." At this time, the blood clan master swept his divine sense over. "Today, I will bathe this place in blood and turn it into a blood pool." Soon, this expert of the blood race, Shui de Zhu, instantly locked his divine sense on Yi Shiwen. However, he was discovered in an instant. "Have you discovered me?" Yi Shiwen said with a sneer. Yi Shiwen sneered, stretched out a finger, and pointed towards the sky. Suddenly, an incomparably huge long sword suddenly fell from the sky. Crash! The incomparably terrifying huge sword fell down with a loud sound. Boom! A loud sound was heard, and the huge sword directly pierced into the ground. The entire ground was completely cracked, and it stopped an inch away from Shui de Ancestor. Amidst the flying dust, a figure landed on the handle of the huge sword, and slowly stood up. Bang! Yi Shiwen put one hand on the handle of the huge sword, and suddenly lifted it up with a clang, and said, "Let's fight outside!" Shwa! His figure instantly turned into a streamer, and flew out of Chaos City, breaking through the sky. At this time, countless divine senses swept over, and all the famous experts in the city looked over. Everyone was very clear that this was a confrontation between the old and the new forces, and the outcome of this battle would largely determine the outcome of the battle between the Heavenly Fire Chamber of Commerce and the Devil Flame Chamber of Commerce. "Stay here for me!" At this time, Shui de Ancestor suddenly shouted, and waved his devil claw. A terrifying sound wave swept out, and crashed towards Yi Shiwen, and almost hit him in an instant. Yi Shiwen slightly sneered, and the huge sword in his hand suddenly chopped down. Boom! A huge explosion sounded, and the sound wave was directly cut by Yi Shiwen. It couldn't stop his advance. Shwa! At this time, Shui the ancestor's figure instantly turned into a bloody shadow, and chased after Yishiwen. Fast, simply fast to the extreme. If Yishiwen could be considered fast, then Shui the ancestor's speed had reached the extreme, and seemed to be even faster than Yishiwen's. Almost at the same time, the two of them had already left Chaos City. Everyone's eyesight could no longer see them, but fortunately, their divine senses were still closely following, or else they would have lost track of the two. I want you to become my puppet, and fight for me. Shui the ancestor let out a huge roar, and the sharp claws in his hand suddenly grew, and instantly fell towards Yishiwen. The speed was incomparably fast, and the wind from the claws was like a rainbow, and instantly fell down. Just in time! Yishiwen laughed out loud. He had already stepped into the half-step celestial realm middle stage, and although he had also killed an expert at the second level of celestial realm, there was obviously a huge gap between that deputy leader and Shui the ancestor. One had just stepped into the second level, and the other was already at the peak of the second level. The huge sword condensed by Yishiwen's hand directly chopped down, and attacked Shui the ancestor's bloody claws. Although this huge sword was incomparably huge, Yishiwen's speed was extremely fast, and it almost hit the bloody claws in an instant. Boom! A terrifying collision occurred, and the bloody claws blocked Yishiwen's huge sword, and Yishiwen couldn't advance even an inch. Immediately after, a terrifying bloody energy suddenly jumped out of Shui the ancestor's bloody claws, and directly wrapped around the huge sword in Yishiwen's hand, and suddenly contracted. Crack, crack, crack! The huge sword in Yishiwen's hand actually started to crack, inch by inch. Humph, is this all you've got? Shui the ancestor sneered and said, If this is all you've got, then you will definitely become my war puppet today. He let out a loud roar, and brandished his claws. Countless blood-colored energy transformed into thousands of layers, and directly bombarded towards Yishiwen. His cultivation had already reached the peak of the second level of Celestial Realm, and it was no wonder that even the president of the Heavenly Fire Chamber of Commerce was completely defeated by Shui the ancestor. Shameless boasting! Yishiwen shouted in all directions, and his expression was incomparably cold. He suddenly stepped on the ground, and countless golden tides appeared. His hand once again condensed into a flaming long saber, and directly chopped down. Every slash would collide with a blood-colored mountain. In an instant there were 1,000 slashes and 10,000 slashes. The sky was densely packed with flaming saber shadows, directly blocking Shui the progenitor's attack. You're right. You're right. You have some tricks up your sleeves, and these flames are even weirder. Unfortunately, in front of my formidable strength, these are nothing. Shui the ancestor's bloody claws suddenly tore open, and boundless bloody energy tore out, and shrouded Yishiwen, intending to tear him apart on the spot. Boom! These bloody energy blasted 3 inches away from Yishiwen, and were blocked by the 8 Treasures Universe Cauldron. This bloody energy couldn't tear the 8 Treasures Universe Cauldron apart. And at this time, Yishiwen directly attacked. He suddenly took a step, and the entire void shattered in an instant. There was a faint sound of wind and thunder flickering in his body, and then his figure instantly disappeared. He completely disappeared in front of everyone's eyes. Not good! Shui the ancestor secretly cursed, and countless bloody energy immediately boiled in his body, forming a huge protective cover. And the moment the protective cover was formed, Yishiwen's figure once again appeared behind him, and the flaming long saber instantly appeared in his hand, and fiercely smashed down. Crack, crack! You're tuning into the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.